Now they'll move it to Axe. Flip in the middle, don't score. The roommates. Bridge to Orlando.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Evasive Learning. If you are an education major or anyone considering a career in teaching, you won't want to miss this. Evasive Learning is an innovative educational consulting company that is revolutionizing the way aspiring teachers prepare for their careers. As a proud sponsor of the Lax Lounge podcast and Cabrini Lacrosse, Evasive is here to help you take your teaching aspirations to new heights. Evasive offers a comprehensive one-on-one coaching program tailored specifically for those interested in entering the teaching profession. With Evasive's coaching program, you'll receive personalized guidance and support to help you succeed in your career. They provide mock interviews, guided job searches, resume optimization, and much more. Their team of experienced educators and career coaches will equip you with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in the competitive world of teaching. One of the most incredible aspects of Evasive's coaching program is their guarantee. Yes, you heard it right. They guarantee at least one job offer within the first 3 months of coaching. That's an amazing opportunity you don't want to miss. For just $250 per month, Evasive guarantees that you will receive at least one job offer. Imagine the peace of mind knowing that your investment in coaching will lead to tangible results. It's an offer you can't afford to pass up. So whether you're a current education major, a recent graduate, or someone looking to make a career change into teaching, Evasive Learning is here to support you and guide you in every step of the way. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to secure your job as a teacher. Visit their website at www.evasive.com to learn more about their coaching program and how they can help you kickstart your teaching career. Once again, that is www.evasive.com.
What up, what up?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lax Lounge. We are back. We had a quick trip to the Fitler Club last week. It was an awesome trip.
It was fun.
I definitely enjoyed it. But it's good to be back in our nice couches, nice and comfy. We got football on. It is Sunday, best day of the week. Just finished up with the 425 session, and we're waiting for Sunday Night Football. Getting ahead of myself. It does feel like Monday, but that's for a different reason. Before we get into that, we have to introduce a little special guest that we have. Nick, who's joining us in the lounge?
Today we have Sebastian Tobias. Sebastian.
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Great. Thank you guys for having me on.
Of course. So, you are so many words. Friggy, what do you think best describes Seb?
I would say a little bit psychotic in a good way.
The best ways.
Yes. He's one of those guys that always will keep you on your toes, and he's the best. I'll say actually two-faced, because off the field he's an absolute gem to society, an amazing human being, somebody that, like, I'm lucky we moved around our lockers this year, and he moved right next to me, and I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, I saw Fridge's locker, and I was like, I'm posting him right next to you, homie.
Yeah, it's like a good guy that I could hold an awesome conversation with, really excited for what we get into today, and then when he gets on the field, I don't want to be within 6 feet of him.
Demon.
Literally, like, I want him to be as far away from me as possible in the most respectable way, because you are a beast. So we're very excited to have you on. We have some special stuff to talk about. First day practice was today. That's going to be a lot later in the conversation. First thing is first. We have a little fast five for you.
We got the fast five.
Bring it on, boys.
Fast five. 5 quick questions, simple answers, no more than a sentence. Here we go. Question 1, favorite board game?
Shoots and ladders.
Great pick.
Number 2, favorite childhood toy?
Legos.
Favorite boy band?
All right. Boy band. So, like, that's not like a rock band. That's like some, like, One Direction, Justin Bieber type stuff.
Yeah.
I guess One Direction. I don't know. That's the only one I really know.
Love it.
Not too in depth with the boy bands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
I'm gonna
this is always a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's a shame that I am blanking on the name. I know what it is. It's the one with Brad Pitt where they're hunting Nazis.
Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards. Yes, that is
a great movie.
Great callback. Oh my gosh.
That is easily my favorite movie. Yeah.
Lastly, we have your biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve. I'm gonna say this. I do it sometimes, right? But one thing that bothers me most about other people has to be complaining.
Complaining about what, like, specifically? Because there's a lot of stuff that people complain about.
There's a lot of stuff that people complain about, but complaining about, we could say specifically things that are within your control, right? When you obviously mess up, especially in sports, like you sell a play and then you're complaining that it was a bad pass or something. Like, dude, like, pull your pants up, like, stop complaining. That easily bothers me the most. Hearing it can just ruin a vibe. Like, we're having a great day of practice, and then you got one guy that's just whining about everything because he's just not playing good. And hey, I've done it before, and I've probably, made a lot of other people really pissed off. But that's easily one of my biggest pet peeves.
I like that, and I kind of connect what happened on Wednesday for us. We'll probably get into this a little bit later on too, but we had our run test and our conditioning stuff, and at the end, once we finished the 3/4 mile, were you in my group? I think you were.
Were you with Nate and me?
I was. Yes.
Yeah.
So PD at the end of ours was saying like, "Hey, everybody, we understand it was a hot day. You're doing conditioning. You're doing the 3/4 mile. Like, shit sucks." And he was saying that everybody said something negative or some complaint at least once throughout. And he was like, okay, probably besides Jason Fridge, but like that's besides the point. And what I like about that is like a big mindset that I have that I shifted, like COVID really kind of helped me lock into this. But when the world is hitting the fan, when shit hits the fan, it's so easy to look at how much stuff sucks. Because when you really do like point out little things, life sucks.
Yeah.
If you're late to class, that red light that hit me, like that sucks. You got a slow driver in front of you, that sucks. I always try to see the positive in a situation. I don't have a negative bone in my body. I understand that.
Yeah, like with every negative thing that you can pick apart, there's always something positive on the counter end. Like no matter how bad a day is, you can always go back and really pick apart all the good things. I also had a huge, like coming forth with that kind of thinking, really just being, I guess I'd put that more under being grateful. It's like at the end of the day, that run did suck. Was it all the first thing that we wanted to do? But we got through it, and I'd say we were all glad we did it, and we were grateful to be out there and get those good times and just be out there with one another. Like, yeah, that's huge.
Absolutely. And like we were able to do it together, which has been our motto. Like we didn't just go out there and do that on our own for shits and gigs. Like as I was saying, when you look at the little things, like stuff sucks. When you look at the great picture, we're so blessed. We are so incredibly blessed to be where we are. And I always
100%.
I always keep that in the back of my mind. So I kind of like that as a pet peeve, like just simple complaining because of how easy it is to be negative. I always try to do the hard thing and be positive.
It's so crazy. Like even bringing up in when we had those meetings about things we wanted to work on. My one thing was not showing weakness and not being like a vibe killer. Complaining is so infectious and so easy. Like it can, and it's so much more impactful than anything good. Like if you're complaining with your head down on like the sideline, that weighs a lot more than anything good happening. So it's like you have to have 2 for 1 on good to bad there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I love the way that you put that. That's it. We've had some wise guys on the podcast.
We do have some wise guys,
and that's not wise guys in like the sarcastic way. Like
that's knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, you're a very intelligent young man, and I just love. I mentioned the one word being psychotic, and I think it's because your mindset is just so like locked in and so specific, and I envy it a lot.
Very disciplined.
Extremely. Absolutely. So let's kind of get into a little bit of your background. Like, who is Sebastian Tobias?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's a question I ask myself every day. Who am I? But getting really into like the thick of it, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Right, a little bit of a curveball. Right, I'm living up here. I grew up in New Jersey. Right, but initially born in Atlanta, Georgia, to my father, Jeff Tobias, and my mother, Janae Tobias, right?
Shout out Jeff and Janae.
Yep.
Shout out.
Lived in Atlanta, Georgia, in the suburbs, not particularly in the city, but lived there till I was about 2, just until my little sister, Tabitha Tobias, Tab, I know you're going to watch this, but... my sister, right after my sister was born, my dad, he was working for Kohler, in the sales department, right? And boom, gets a new job offer, Guess where we're headed to?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
No.
Whoa.
No.
Curveball number 2, strike 2.
Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So I'm like 2-3 years old, right? We make the trek up to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. That's
One more
what
time. Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan, baby. It was a curveball. We went from, like, my dad grew up down south all the time, and so we moved into this nice house up in Wisconsin, and we just kind of get settled there. And, you know, the memories aren't really thick there, but, like, there are a lot of funny stories, like, when I was a little kid, of me just, like, messing up the house. Like, one time I left the hose on in the backyard, and I flooded our entire basement, right? So, like, you know, ever since a little kid, I was always full of energy, but, you know, I could really just destroy some shit. Another funny little story of me in Wisconsin was, I don't know if you ever seen the Bridge to Terabithia movie.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
I vividly remember when I read that book. I think it was 5th grade or something, because the ending, like, that got me. That was gut
Dude,
wrenching.
the first time I went to see it was my grandparents and my brother in the movie theater. I went to the bathroom when she died. I came back. I'm like, what happened?
Spoiler
My
alert
grandma.
for any 5th graders here.
For the movie that's been out for 20 years.
My grandmother. I'm like, hey, what happened? She's like, she died. Like, just like all serious. And I was like 6 or 7. I can't process that. And I'm like, what?
Well, I saw this movie, and we had woods in our backyard, and it was like lots of woods, like acres and whatnot. We didn't own the property, but I went out there and I tried to find the Bridge to Terabithia with my, like, 1 or 2 year old sister. So you have like a 4-year-old and 2-year-old wandering off into the
In
wilderness, right?
Sheboygan,
In
Wisconsin.
Sheboygan, Wisconsin, right? So we spent some time there. My first sport, believe it or not, was hockey, ice hockey,
Okay.
right? My dad's boss was like a big hockey lacrosse guy, and hockey season was rolling right in. He's like, sign your boy up, right? I get up in there. My dad told this story a million times, but I was in there. I was like, I can't wait to hockey. It takes me an hour to get my pads on. I'm getting all fitted, right? They give me like one of those like traffic cones so I can learn how to skate. I get out on the ice, boom! I fell on my face. Get up. My dad's like, you're all right. Boom! Fall on my face again. That cycle repeats itself for about a good 15 minutes. So I looked at my dad and after it was 15 minutes, and I was like, I can't hockey.
4-year-old Seb had a life crisis right there. He's like, Dad, I don't mean to disappoint you, but I can't hockey.
Yeah, so 4-year-old Sebastian was not hockeying, but yeah, it was really just messing around with preschool and daycare, and we didn't stay that long in Wisconsin either. So get a little bit in my personal life, like parents were having some marital issues, right, as most marriages do, sadly nowadays, but
Mhm.
they were having issues, so we decided. My dad took a really big chance in starting his own company with my grandparents, with his parents, which is called Diagnostics Direct. Plug their company real quick.
Plug.
But which is a rapid medical diagnostics company. So he decided to leave his very, I'd say, lucrative and stable job with Kohler, right, one of the major appliance companies, and decides to go all the way over to New Jersey, where my grandparents were living. They were living in Princeton at the time, and basically just try to start this company from the ground up, right? So we get over there. I'm living in some little apartment in Princeton with my grandparents, booling around there for a little bit. Haven't really settled anywhere yet, which is like kind of like I remember as like a little kid, I was like, dang, like what, like I didn't have any like close friends like when I was little, but I mean, like, I guess no one really did, but you know, we're like booling around. I'm just out here in Princeton, New Jersey, like my dad's starting this business, and you know, my parents' marriage isn't doing well, and then my grandparents, they recently around that time bought an apartment, or condo I should say, in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. Right, beautiful. If you're unfamiliar with Stone Harbor, New Jersey, beautiful place, very quiet and calm. If you were gonna have a family, I couldn't imagine a better place to grow up because I loved it. So we get to Stone Harbor, New Jersey. It's me, my grandmother, grandfather, dad, mom, and sister in this condo, and me and my sister were sharing a room. And I started going to school at Stone Harbor Elementary. I remember I joined midway through the year, and it was a little bit of culture shock. Everyone there kind of had they all kind of went to the same preschool and everything. I was just kind of jumping in, but yeah, start kindergarten there and kind of didn't look back. Really ran off with it.
Do you remember your first teacher's name?
Yes, I do. Kindergarten was Mrs. Dean. Mrs. Dean was an angel. Mrs. Dean was awesome.
Sounds like an angel.
I feel like it's hard to find anybody who had a kindergarten teacher that wasn't the greatest human being on the planet.
Dude, if you're going to be a kindergarten teacher, I don't know about today, but when I was a kid, every single one I knew they were angels.
Oh.
They were sent down, these sentient beings that were just made to just love and handle children.
Oh, the teachers or the students?
The teachers.
Okay, because I was going to say, kindergarten students are not the
they're
angels.
not. They're not.
Definitely not that.
They're not. And so right around this time, we get settled in, and I start playing sports. All right? And the first actual sport I got settled into, I say hockey is the first sport, but,
You
that
couldn't
lasted.
hockey.
Yeah, I couldn't hockey
Couldn't
for
hockey.
more than 15 minutes. But I got settled into playing soccer and baseball, right? I was started playing soccer, and I started playing goalie, right?
Okay.
One thing that's been prominent throughout my life, I've always had that defensive instinct. I was never much of a scorer in anything. I wasn't that silky smooth kind of break your ankles kind of guy. I was always defensive, and I'll explain that all throughout my sports career.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing right there. So started playing soccer and baseball, and sadly throughout my youth, parents split up, and I started living with my dad. We move around a little bit in the area. We went from Stone Harbor to a place called Avalon, which they're literally connected. It's a 7-mile island. For those who don't know, we were on the northern 3 miles of it, and we moved to the southern. We were on the southern 3 miles, and we moved to the northern 4 miles of it.
You went from nice to extravagant.
Yes, it was the same thing, but just a slightly different district. I was playing for Avalon Sports, but
Which did you prefer?
Stone Harbor, Avalon.
Yeah.
So if you were to ask me right now, I'm saying,
It's a juicy one.
Ooh, that is that. So when I was a little kid, when I was growing up, hanging around the island, I would definitely spend a lot more time in Stone Harbor because I feel, but there's more things for a kid to just goof around and do. Right, everything's kind of right there. You got a Wawa right there, that little strip in Stone Harbor. There's a I don't even know if you would call it a mall. It's a strip mall. And then you have on 80th Street, there's a rec field and everything where I spent hours. Hours just playing anything and everything we could think of. So as a little kid, Stone Harbor, but growing up, I spent a lot more time in Avalon. It's a lot calmer, more peaceful. I started working there, so I got that tied in, and it was even closer to my house once I moved off island. So younger Stone Harbor, older Avalon. There's a little more stuff to do when you're older in Avalon. But going off of that, so I started living with my dad in Avalon, me and my sister and I continued to play sports, and we get to first, second grade, and I'm going to tell you guys a funny story.
All right. So I have one comment to make before you go.
Yeah.
You're an excellent storyteller.
Thank you.
Holy
This
shit.
is insane.
Yeah.
You're going chronological order, life story.
I'm literally, so we're in the podcast studio. I feel like I'm a listener right now. I'm just posting up. I could mute my mic probably, and this would be a great episode.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop talking and just let you go. Funny story.
I'll let him go.
So
I need it.
first grade. All right. Well, I'll say this is first grade. Okay. I've always been grubbing a lot since I was a little kid, man. Anything you put in front of me, I just eat it, right? And with that comes a lot of dumping. Okay, what you put in your body has to come out. Okay, so during first grade, obviously you can't go to the bathroom by yourself all the time, right? You have to have a teacher walk with you, hall pass, whatever. And I always had to go to the bathroom. Number one or number two. I always had to go. And the teacher always got angry at me because I was interrupting class. And I don't know. I had very small capacity for bowel movements. So I started to develop this technique to handle with this. Okay. So this technique was, I wouldn't call it shit in your pants, but you turtle head a little bit, right? And for the listeners that don't know, a turtle head is when you just let like the head of the turd pop out, right? Hence turtle head. He's like poking his head out of the shell, right? And then you pinch it off. Okay. So I pinch it off, right? And I reach in my pants. well, no one's looking, right? So like I'd be like, Mando, like we're paying attention to class. I'm in the back of the class. I reach in and go, and I just throw it, and it would like hit a wall, maybe stick to a wall, and then fall behind a desk, right? So I'm just scattering my deuces, right? And it would give me that 30 minutes I needed, to where I didn't have to ask the teacher, right? So this goes on for months.
You're just incrementally shitting.
I'm just incrementally just. Like and like what would I do with my hands? I just wipe it on my leg. I'm just a first grader, just wipe it off on my leg, you know. So I think this really. Well, hang on, I'll continue the story, but to pause for a second, like this is the psyche of Sebastian Tobias. I may not do the things that everyone does, maybe even the same way, but boy, do I get it done.
Do I have a plan?
So this goes on for a couple months, and it comes to a head at the end of the year in first grade. And in first grade, we were doing this thing called, it was 26 days of school, and it was A through Z, right? And every single day, the last 26 days, was assigned to a letter, right? And on N, guess what? It was no shoes day, right? So I'm sitting at a desk, right? You could clearly see under the desk. It was like one of those circle desks, you know? And I'm sitting across from this girl, and I don't know, I was doing like arts and crafts or something. Maybe times tables, if we maybe
first grade, that'd be
addition or
impressive.
subtraction.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think you were just risen her up a little bit.
Yeah, it went south. If I was, it went
2
south.
times 2 is?
So, I said earlier that most of the time I would, do a little turtle head. This one was kind of a full blown turd in my pants, right? So I reached down. I'd take it out in my hand, just a first grader size, just fistful, right? And I just roll it under the table.
Oh my God. You went bowling with a turd?
Ground ball.
And it's just like literally in the middle of the room. You could clearly see it. It was not hidden. Usually I try to hide it. Like I just throw it under a desk or something. Nobody would know. But I roll it on the table, and on No Shoes Day, this girl's foot just goes right on it. And she looks down, and she's like, "What?" And then she goes, a little first grade girl screaming her head off. And I'm sitting there. You would have thought I was in the World Championship Series of poker. Unfazed. There's a girl screaming her head off in front of me, and I'm still doing my addition, subtraction.
Doing your doodles.
And the teacher comes up. She's like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "There's a turd on the ground." And she's like, "Sebastian, did you do this?" And I was like, "Do what?" Unfazed, right? So clearly, I was the culprit, right? So she sends me to the nurse's office, and she's like, "Sebastian, did you poop your pants?" And I was like, "No." Pulled my drawers down. Whoop! What do you know? Got chocolate on my balls. So Dad has to come, gives me new pants and all that, right? So I come back, and all the kids are like, "Did you poop your pants?" Now you gotta remember, like first grade, that's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal.
Kid poop, like it gets a bigger deal as you get older.
I mean, shit spreads, literally.
Yes, but in first grade, like that, like you'd wonder, like in that week, like who's gonna poop their pants this week, and it was me. So I come in, the kids are all like, "Oh, Sebastian, did you do that?" I was like, "Nope, man, remain poker face the entire time.
Why are you
unfazed.
wearing new pants?
Yeah, so that's just getting into like
I don't know,
what
Sally. Shut up.
yeah, like just getting into what first grade me would do. Yeah, I think that's one of the funniest stories ever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That might be the greatest. I don't know if it was 5 minutes. I don't know if it was 7 minutes.
I don't care how long it was. That was awesome.
I actually started crying at one point. Sebastian the shitter is going to live.
Yeah.
Everybody's
No. I named that story the Dingleberry Demon
The Dingleberry Demon.
because that's what they were.
All right.
Dingleberries.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for
we are the Lax Lounge. When did the Dingleberry Demon pick up a lacrosse stick? When was the first time?
All right, so
Was
yeah,
it BS
so
or PS? Before shit or post shit?
oh, this was PS.
This is post
So,
shit. Okay.
so I was playing baseball and
You were struggling to
I-
hit a curveball.
yeah, that's one thing. But I was really good at t-ball, so they moved me up into machine pitch and kid pitch. So I was playing like a grade up, and once I got to kid pitch, we combined a team, and we had like 30 kids on a team, and everyone had to bat, and we were good, but it was like I got to bat once a game. I was sitting in left field, and this is show my dedication to the sport. I would sit in left field, right, and hold my pee so long because I didn't want to come out. Like if I were to come out, they're gonna put another like 8-year-old numb nut
Duster.
out there, and then I'm probably not gonna go back in the game, right? So I would actually pee my pants out in the field. It was actually crazy, and I would just keep playing. But yeah.
Savage.
Yeah, so like it got to that point. I'm sitting here. I'm like, wow, baseball sucks. I mean, if that's your sport, all the power to you. But it wasn't for me. It was way too slow. I also kind of like contact. I started to realize like I like kind of messing kids up, and boom, I tried out, or I didn't try it. There weren't even tryouts. I joined the Middle Township lacrosse team.
There you go.
For 3rd and 4th graders.
Now, was that the first time you picked up a stick? Was your first practice?
Yes, yeah, it was. I gotta dig back deep in the memory, but yeah. The first time, me and my neighbor and I, both quit baseball. Like, kid lived 3 doors down from me. Right, we were same exact age, going to the same school. Actually, best friends at that point, and we started to just play lacrosse, and then next thing you know, we were like, all right, well, we're the best kids on our team, because everyone was just starting then. Especially South Jersey lacrosse was very underdeveloped at that time. It was nothing like PA, North Jersey, New York, Maryland. It was like I had a dad that just got done his 9 to 5, whose kid also probably just quit baseball, trying to coach it, right? So, I picked up a lacrosse stick and I was a midi starting out. I think everybody played offense when they started because it's honestly a little bit cooler.
Yeah. and if you were good at lacrosse, they put you on offense.
Yeah, they put
If
you on offense.
If you needed a little more development, that's when you were a defender. Hey, buddy, go stand in front of
I'll
him.
never forget. I think it was like Colfer or Hill or one of our coaches a couple years back, but they were like, the reasons they played defense is because when they were kids, they didn't have good stick skills. And I've always thought of that.
No
And
shots
I'm not
against
taking
you.
shots at you, obviously. I'm just
No, I started playing defense once I got into high school.
There you go.
Ooh,
So-
really?
So
Yeah.
you were a midi all the way up
Yeah.
through development. You didn't-
I think that kind of shows a little bit. I have
It definitely
some
does.
offensive, like I'm not clueless.
So,
Okay.
so let's get into your middle school. I'd
So
say.
so middle school, right? I make this big decision. Okay, I was going. At the time it was Avalon Elementary, right? And I was in a class with like 13 kids. It was like 13 kids in my 5th grade class, and I wasn't meshing with a lot of them. I had me and this one kid named Anthony. We'll leave it at that. We were at each other's throats every day. I think I almost beat this kid up 3 times, and it was not bullying. It was like he was trying to bully me, and I was just done with it, right? So like me and this kid were having issues. the one kid I was friends with like two kids, and it was just kind of getting cliquey, and I was like, you know what, like it was a good school. I'm gonna try out this Mill Township place. I was like, Mill Township Public School, let's try it out, right? And the reason I switched to that middle school was because I started playing football too, right? So my early sports history was a little rocky, right? So I was playing soccer, okay, kept playing soccer, and then once I got to like 5th grade, I stopped playing soccer and I started playing football for Middle Township, and I started playing lacrosse, stopped playing baseball. So now I'm exclusively a Middle Township sports player.
Do you think you started playing football because you enjoyed contact?
Yes, I think I did. Also, you got to think about like the clout. Like I was just like, oh, football players are cool.
Especially in middle school. Like I remember 7th grade, everybody knew who was on our Meadowdale Rec football team, and it was kind of like an identity thing. Where I know one of my pretty good friends. Shout out Jason Jones. There was always 2 Jasons when I was growing up. So that's kind of like where I started to transition into like Fridge, although that's more, I guess, in high school. But it was Jason J and Jason F. And I remember Jason Jones, God bless his soul, fucking love the kid to death. He's not the most athletic person. And he started playing football. And you could tell he'd wear his jersey to school. He'd feel like the man. And he would tell me like all the, not horror stories, but like, youth football is a fucking serious thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they had like this one, their coach, ex-NFL guy, won a national championship at the University of Washington. He was the definition of a hardo. And he would just grill these kids at practice. Like grueling stuff for fucking youth football. I can never wrap my head around it. And I always remember like hearing the stories from Jason Jones. And I feel so bad for him. So bad. Because he was always massive juice guy. Like I fucking love Jonesy because of how much juice he could bring to a sideline. He played on our basketball team. And again, he was never the Steph Curry. Like when he knocked down a 3, he fucking celebrated like it was his last shot ever. And I will never, ever forget that kid. If Jason Jones is listening to this shit, fuck and love you. I love you.
Shout out Jason Jones.
Yes, my alter ego. But all that to say, youth football, at least where I was from, crazy and a huge status symbol, like you were saying.
Yeah, 100%. Like, our township wasn't really good at much, but football was the center point, right? And it was it was a huge status symbol. It was like, especially, so I started getting into middle school, right? So 6th through 8th grade, I'm at this place, Middle Township, right? Public school, it was definitely a big culture shock for me because I went from 13 kids, a very kind of like helicopter-y environment, to like I'm having kids like, you know, roasting me every day. That's when like, oh, roasted was like starting to get popular. Like your mama jokes were going crazy. Like your forehead's so big I could land a helicopter on it type stuff. So like that was kind of a big culture shock for me, and it was honestly a good one because it finally put some like thick skin on me. I was a little bit of a bitch when I was a little kid, all right, just a little bit, all right, and then that school kind of being in a public school environment really taught me a lot of social skills. So I'm playing football. I'm really getting into lacrosse, and I think it was around 6th grade I joined Shamrocks lacrosse. Actually, take it a step back. The first club is not even a club anymore. South Jersey Raptors, right?
It's a sick name.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We were like blue, black, and like neon green, or not green. It was kind of cool. Definitely some drippy uniforms, but I was playing with these kids. A lot of them played for like South Shore and whatnot, and I was playing like 2 grades up, because like they didn't have a grade for like my team. It was just like one. It was like 2 grades that these kids were playing on. And they're like, all right, you can join this. So, you know, I was around like a lot of bigger, stronger, older kids. I was getting messed up, but I was holding my own. It wasn't too bad. And then I finally moved to Shamrocks, where I was actually able to play with like kids my age. And believe it or not, I was playing attack.
Wow.
Yeah, I was playing attack.
Where at? X, righty?
Yeah, I was actually an ex-attackman for the most part. Or I was
And actually, you're a lefty, aren't you?
Yeah. If we were setting up in a righty L break, I would be that bottom left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's primarily where I hung out, and I kind of made my my money move was just a split dodge, right? I was faster than most of the kids when I was younger. My shot was meh. It was all right. I could finish inside, right? But I made a lot of money on, or a lot of goals, I should say, on just catch and shoot, right? So I'm ripping shamrocks, and we weren't that good, right? And when I was younger, when I was like really young, I like noticed like third to like fifth grade, I was head and shoulders. Me and my neighbor were head and shoulders better than pretty much everyone, right? We were scoring all the goals for our team. Once you got a little bit older, then the playing field started to like level out. So like, and you notice it with all the kids that were playing club. And at this point, I'm still playing football, and I also was playing club soccer too. So not only am I playing football, lacrosse, and club soccer. Club soccer is like
Who'd you play club soccer for?
Cape Express,
Cape
if you're
Express.
familiar. So I'm playing club soccer 4 seasons out of the year. I'm playing lacrosse. I think I was only spring and summer at that point, but I've been playing soccer the longest out of everything. I thought that was a sport I was going to go to like high school and like really dive into, but then same thing. I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of tired of this sport. I don't really love it. I was playing defense, and I was starting to get in trouble for like decking kids. Like,
Can't do
ball
that.
would be going down, I just throw a shoulder, and I'm like, all right, well, if I can't do this, I don't really want to do this. And so I quit soccer, and I just started to really dive into football. And I was playing middle linebacker and running back when I really started getting into it, and that's when I really started to bang heads. Like, that's where all the contact in me really has come from. And lacrosse was, I'd say it was my main sport. I knew I was better at it, but I wasn't putting time in it yet.
In terms of sports, what was your first love?
My first love,
Was it
honestly,
soccer?
I think I'd say it was lacrosse.
Okay, and when
Yeah.
did you know that like you loved lacrosse? Was it
I
immediately?
think
or-
it was. I knew I liked it a lot more than baseball immediately, and my dad wanted me to play sports year round, so I'd say I really fell in love with it in like 6th grade.
middle school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Was it ever really difficult to balance playing all three when you're doing soccer,
dude,
football,
it was
lacrosse?
so hard. I remember there were days where I'd literally go from football practice right into like a 2-hour shot. Like I was just playing sports for 4 hours straight, doing that 3-4 days a week. You got like you still got like homework and stuff. It was really, really hard. I remember most of my youth was just spent playing a lot of sports and also working out a decent bit. When I was younger, my dad would go to this place called EAP, Elite Athletic Performance, and it was like a CrossFit gym. And my dad wanted to go to work out, but he couldn't just leave me and my sister at home. Single dad, you gotta remember.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would take me, and I would sit there and I'd do like a kids class or just work out by myself. So I'm sitting there, I'm hitting the sleds, doing push-ups, sprints, and like that work was paying off. So like all I was doing was just working out and playing sports.
So that's 7th grade, or
The EAP thing was like 3rd grade to like 6th. Yeah, I'm putting in that work since a youngin', man.
So you play all these sports as a kid. Talk about your parents being separated. Were they always like supportive? Like, hey, like I played soccer for the past 4 years. I want to play football now. Was it okay? Also,
So-
like, I'll buy you pads.
So my dad was really supportive. My dad was like, whatever. He's like, I'm not gonna make you play anything, right? But if I'm gonna support you in something, you're gonna do like. It's not that I had to be good. I'm gonna have to give my full effort in it.
yeah?
Right? It wasn't like I'm gonna buy you all this lacrosse equipment and you're just gonna sit around and never use it, never practice, never do any of these things. So he's like, if I was gonna do something, I was gonna do it. And doing all 3 sports, kind of balls to the wall, was really taking a toll on me. That's why I dropped soccer, and then once I got to high school, I actually eventually dropped football. But my mom, on the other hand, she never really came to any of my games. I didn't really have, especially for sports, did not have the support with her. Like, even like when I would go visit her, my dad would honestly mostly take me to my games. Like, my mom wouldn't even go. And she tried connecting with me in other ways. It was like she tried getting me into like riding dirt bikes or quads or something like that, or like shooting, or like it was kind of like all the opposite of sports, or like different kinds. And those never stuck because like I was only doing them like 2 weekends a month, right? Like, and I wasn't, and like I put so much other time in other stuff. So like my mom was like a little like honestly not really that supportive. She was having her own issues too, with like in terms of like substance abuse. So like that played a huge factor. But in terms of my dad was there at every single practice, every single game. Got me all the stuff I need. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. I was truly blessed.
Did your dad ever coach you in any way, or was he always in the dad role?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe I looked over that. So my dad had been coaching me since soccer since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
He actually even had his own thing called the Coach Jeff Awards, where he would like designate like players who were like playing good throughout the year. And I remember there was one year so I played goalie for my team, and I was kind of locked down. So I got Coach Jeff Award for defense, best defensive player, right?
You got the Jeffy.
Right? And you would think like, oh, dude, coach's dad giving his son, it was literally just a t-shirt, but like giving his son an award. And my sister, who was like 2 years younger, was playing, actually I think I was 6, she was 4, and she did not get a Coach Jeff Award.
Was he coach for her too, or was he?
Yes,
like,
he was. Yeah, he actually coached both teams. And she did not get a Coach Jeff Award because she was a little dust at soccer, so like that, and that was the kind of coach he was, and he was definitely anti like let everyone play, just because they're on the team. He wanted to win. Yeah, he wanted to win, and also he really despised those parents that would just drop their kids off at practice, and it was like daycare.
Yeah.
There's actually one thing he did which I thought was hilarious. When he's coaching little kids and they don't want to be there, he's like, "Look at me." He's like, "You can go over that playground, and you can play on the playground until we're done, or you can stay here and you can join practice." And some kids would go play on the playground, and then their moms will come up and they're like, "Why is my kid over there on the playground? Why isn't he playing here?" And he's like, he doesn't want it. That's the kind of coach he was. He was kind of a zero BS kind of guy. And, like, if you weren't running, he would yell at you to run. And, like, it was so – I always found it so funny.
How old are you at this point?
Dude, this was, like, I don't know, like 6 to 12, bro. This was years. I mean, my dad coached my lacrosse team – till I believe, or I think like 6th grade, and then once I got 7th and 8th, I was coached by a different guy. But yeah, he was a huge factor in like my growth and my skill. Because also like your dad's a coach, you kind of want to put on, you know what I mean? Like you better be good. Like you don't want to be that like, oh, my dad's a coach and I suck. Like that was gonna be me. And he also got that like mentality instilled in me, like I'm not gonna sit here and just BS at practice. I want to be good. I'm gonna put in the work. I enjoy winning, and that carried on throughout every sport that I played.
Did you ever have like a really big blow up with your dad as a coach? Because I know like my dad coached me, I think from maybe 3rd grade on, whether it was lacrosse, basketball. I think he might have helped out when I played soccer when I was younger. Baseball a little bit, but like he coached me up until my freshman year of high school was the last time. And the like biggest time where we had beef, like the nice thing, my dad was a defender in college and like was always on the defensive side of the ball and I was on offense. So it worked out really well. Like, yeah, he'd be our head coach, but he was never like, when I got older, I'd always kind of just be like, you know, you're a defender. Like, let me cook, let me do my thing.
Yeah, So, like, my dad never actually played lacrosse. He grew up playing football and, like, football and baseball. He's from like, Florida, right? So, like, lacrosse, he, like, never even really heard of it. So, like, he would only get mad at me if I wasn't trying, right? And usually I was always trying because he is 6'3", like 240, a pretty scary guy. When he got mad, I would listen. But like even when I got older, it was like he never would really get on me because it came to a certain point where I understood the game better than him because I've been playing. He'd never played, so like I always had just the utmost respect for my dad and also a good amount of fear. So like we never had any blow up moments ever.
Really?
Yeah, never in sports. No, never. At home, that's different.
Mm.
But in terms of the field, and also like I hate showing weakness. I was not gonna have a blow up hissy fit in front of a bunch of other kids, a bunch of my friends, because my dad is being mean to me. That was always absurd to me. I would never do that. So like that, it really never even crossed my mind. It's like
The only time where I like remember me and my dad, we didn't even get into it, but it was like something happened. He just grilled me in front of the entire team. It was basketball. I want to say maybe 6th or 7th grade, and we're playing the best team in our league. Stuff's not really going well. I forgot something happened near the sideline. I was on the court, and I literally just like turned to the ref and I was like, "Timeout!" Like I just screamed it, and he was like, "All right, timeout, orange." My dad looks at me, fucking red in his eyes. He's like, "You don't call timeouts on this court. I call it timeout." Pulled us all in, whatever. Like did our adjustments, and he looked at everyone and he's like, "And just so we're clear," boom, stares at me. "I call the timeouts on this court." And literally, like, I think he benched me for like the next 5 minutes or something.
Wow.
But that was the only time where it's like, my dad's a chill dude. Like, he's laid back, doesn't really get that mad. I've only seen him blow up, like, I can count it on my hands probably. And that was some of the most furious I've ever seen.
You didn't follow his game plan.
I did.
He had
No.
a game plan, dude.
And I wanted that timeout because I was like, "Yo, I think we need it." And he's like, "No, the fuck we don't. Let me cook." But yeah, you know, it is a unique relationship when you have your dad coaching you versus you have somebody else working with you. And I didn't really get to experience that, especially in lacrosse, until my sophomore year of high school when I went from my dad and like a bunch of local guys that I've known for years to go to O'Day, and I have Drew Snyder, Eli Go, like former pros. Mm-hmm. And the difference that I found was like there wasn't ever those moments where I'm like, "It's my dad. Like, what the fuck does he know?" It's always you see that outside perspective. You're like, "Oh, okay, like this is something I need to cue in on." And when I got into summer ball, it was again like people who have gone to Rutgers, Ohio State, like big names. I'm like, "Oh wow, I have to listen to them." Like, you know, my dad went to Whittier College and played defense, so little stuff like that is what I noticed throughout my career has kind of helped make me more coachable. Is because I can understand that side of things now.
Yeah, like growing up, I think the one thing my dad instilled in me from him coaching me was just respect. I could just sit there and be like, "You want me to do that? All right, gotcha. I'm going to go do it." Like, we got this drill. All right, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to give my best effort. Going to go do it. Like when he didn't really know a lot about lacrosse, he did his best to try and learn, right? He like researched the game. I mean, I knew nothing, and I didn't. When you're that young, especially in South Jersey, like you don't realize how far the game goes. Like now it's so hot. Like now, like I've seen professional players. Like I only watched like a little college lacrosse. Like it's only the little stuff I see on TV. I'm like, oh, that's the peak. That's the pinnacle. And so like that questioning of like, oh, like what does he know? That wasn't even really a thing for me until I actually got to be around some other coaches. But by then he wasn't coaching me anymore. But he taught me just to like, whoever's your coach, whether you like him or not, you better do as he says, and you better give him your best effort. And that's carried. I mean, like even the coaches we've had, like, may not like him, but you're gonna give him everything you got, right? So I'm in Shamrocks, and I was playing attack, and I was good for that team, but I wanted to play somewhere better, and I decided to join South Shore, right? And this was a very defining moment in my lacrosse career, because growing up, like in South Jersey, like I was south. I'm like exit 13, dude, like or like exit 11 even. I'm 11 miles from the bottom of New Jersey, right? So the club was South Shore Lacrosse, right? And I joined, and I was really nervous because these kids were really good, and they asked me, they're like, all right, like we see that you're like a decent midi, but the one thing they noticed was my defense. I was always clamps on defense. Like it's a D mid, I was just throwing kids. I had the footwork. Offense, I was just all right. And the kids that I was playing with on that team, for that specific club team, were just offensive wizards. And these would be kids I would play with for the next 6 years. And they asked me, they're like, you want to play pole? You want to play LSM? And I was like, nah. And just because I just wanted to make the team, I was like, yeah, sure. And that's where my defensive kind of career kind of started.
Just like that, we're back.
We're back.
And we see Seb, thank goodness.
Yes, I'm back. A little technical difficulty there.
Yes, I was getting a little worried. We were able to find another Mac charger, so good job on our end. Our studio.
We're doing very well.
We're doing amazing.
I was lacking.
It happens.
It's okay. You know, it's been a long day.
From time to time.
And this is going to set us up for a successful week because now Monday we're going to have a charged computer ready for classes.
Oh, yeah, we
Everything
are.
to go. Yeah.
Got an online class tomorrow that I'm going to be fully charged and ready to go.
Oh, yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
So, leaving off, before we left off, we were talking about your middle school development, going through, you know.
Yeah, so, like, picking up, like, middle school, obviously I'm into sports, but 8th grade was a huge turning point for me. Okay, so I'm in 8th grade, right? And I was talking about South Shore, but I like to take one little step back. I switched from playing from Middle Township. I played for this team called Mainland, and we built a super team. I mean, it was me and my best friend at the time playing. We left Middle Township, got some like release or something to play for a different county. And I was playing with predominantly South Shore kids, and that was a big reason of why I wanted to get into South Shore. And we went 22-0.
Damn.
Is that like in one summer?
No, and this is spring.
So you guys played 22 games in the spring?
Yes.
Dude, we played like 9.
Yeah, not even.
So we would do a thing where you would play 2 games on a Saturday, right? And then we had a game against like I think it was Clearview. Like we had like an extra game, and believe it or not, in the championship, I beat Brady and Jake. Brady Rawner and Jake Schneider. I'm undefeated against those.
Shout out to the OC boys.
Nah, shout out to the boys. But yeah, I've known them for a while, so I got to play them. And yeah, so like that's when I started to realize it's like, hey, like this might be what I want to do, right? I was with that clean slate ever. I think that championship game was like 5 goal difference, and I think that was the closest game we had all year. Built a super squad, and I was scoring goals. I remember like I had a nasty behind the backs a couple games, so I was starting to feel myself, right?
Are you rocking a pole at this point, or
no?
You and Shorty
still a midi, right? So I played midi from 4th to 8th grade. So I'm choosing what high school to go to, and I could have gone to my public school. I really loved lacrosse, but my public school was god awful at lacrosse. I mean, they were.
So do I.
They were so bad. I would have gone in there as a freshman and been starting, and that wasn't really my kind of vibe. That's not what was instilled in me. I was like, I want to go somewhere where I can play the best and be the best, because I wasn't going to get much better going there, and my father and I decided, he was like, hey, I heard about this school. It's 45 minutes away, St. Augustine Prep. And I was like, whoa. So I got.
Before we can, is it St. Augustine or St. Augustine?
A common mispronunciation is St. Augustine, right? People say St. Augies, which is okay, but it's St. Augustine.
So today is now, since the moment I met you, since the moment I met anyone from St. Augustine, I've been saying St. Augustine. So
have I.
Yeah, and I hear it all the time. I don't.
Does it annoy you?
I hear it, but it doesn't bother me.
Something that you just flush.
I used to say it too, till I figure it out. But
do they teach you that when you go there?
Yeah, I mean, you learn about who Saint Augustine was, and they're not saying Saint Augustine. They actually tell you, like, when you get there, it's not Saint Augustine, it's Saint Augustine.
That's kind of.
Augustine has a little bit. I think it sounds better.
Did
honestly.
they know him?
They
No,
did.
fuck.
They probably knew that he didn't like to be called Augustine. Cause that's
Fun
just not
fact: Saint Augustine was a gangster. I'm not gonna lie, dude was he.
A Catholic
I see.
gangster.
I see. No, like when growing up. So his mother was Saint Monica.
Okay.
Right, a very religious woman, and in his early years, he rejected religion. He knocked up a hooker. He had like a bastard child, like all this stuff, and then fell in love with God. It was a pretty crazy
beautiful.
story. See a lot of myself in him, except knocking up the hooker. Yeah,
Good. That's a good answer.
but
You hear that, Mom?
so I'm deciding. I'm like, dang, do I? This is, and it's an expensive school, right? The salary at that point, or not the salary, the cost was like $17 a year, right? So very expensive. It was far, but it was the school in my area. Every school around hated the school just because of how awesome it was. I mean, they're great at every single sport. Really good academics. From experience, pull the most girls. No, I'm just joking. But for real though, it was just an awesome school, and I'm deciding. And also another thing, I was always very young for my grade. I was born July 29th, and in the younger part, so like kids that were born like September were almost a year older than me, and going into school. I had some like own personal problems with like relationship with my mom and whatnot, and my dad and I talked, and we were just like, why don't we just reclass you for a year? And that was a very rough point in my life. I was like that was a point where I started to actually face some adversity, because all your friends going into high school and you're stuck in 8th grade, and Lord, did I get shit for that. I mean, it was so annoying. The amount of kids that were just like, oh, you're stuck in 8th grade. Oh, you're still in middle school, or all this stuff. Like, oh, you're going to go. I was also St. Augustine's all boys. So they're like, oh, you're holding yourself back so you can go chill with a bunch of dudes. Like, stuff was getting under my skin a little bit, but I knew I had in my mind, I'm like, I got a plan. These kids don't got a plan. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this to better myself, and it was easily the best decision I could have ever made. So I do an extra year at this place called Bishop McHugh, right? I wasn't a huge fan of the school. It reverted me back. It reminded me of Avalon, right, where there was 13 kids. I think I had like 15 kids in my class at this point, and a lot of them, again, were coddled, and it was like it was like helicopter parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you say something, they're going right to the principal. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it's very heavily monitored kid. I don't know, kind of not the kids I like to mesh with, and none of them played lacrosse. Didn't have lacrosse at that school, so I'm sitting here kind of like in like a purgatory period. I was just kind of waiting this year out, and that's when I started playing South Shore, and I played for the 2022s. The 2021s, and kind of started to mesh in there. And I also kept playing football for a year, and I started getting good at middle linebacker and running back. I was averaging like 2.5 touchdowns a game, really putting it on. We were having like 4 tackles a game. Wasn't bad. And these kids from South Shore introduced me to this winter team, because there wasn't a winter lacrosse thing that I was in, called Blackstorm. And Blackstorm was the next step from South Shore. So I thought South Shore was really good. Blackstorm was even better. And I remember trying out, and the kids there were really, really good, but the coach just loved me. I don't know why. I mean, honestly, what could you not love? But he knew I was going to be playing pole for a year, but I was really picking it up really quick, because I really was just getting my stick skills down. I already had most of the footwork and everything, and I loved hitting kids. So he liked me, and I started playing for Blackstone. I'm sitting here at this school. I'm not really hanging out with my friends anymore. They're all at high school doing their own thing. I'm hanging out with these kids I just met who like they've been together since like kindergarten. So I didn't really have any other place that was like kind of my place other than lacrosse. And I go to lacrosse practice. Most of the kids don't know each other, and you're just there having a good time. So I'd always look forward to that. And then I really started to dive into like going out to the field with my dad, and that's where like my dedication for lacrosse started to really take off. Because now I'm doing this 4 seasons out of the year. I'm doing this with a team where like every year they're bringing in new kids. My spot could be taken. Like the kids I was playing with were a lot better than I was used to, and we get into like our second game in this winter league, and I remember this day specifically. I'm playing Team 11. All right, like I remember I was sitting there, and my dad was like, "You need to stretch, like, stretch before you go out." So like, I had my one friend, he stretched my legs out and whatnot, and I'm lined up at LSM. I was starting LSM, and we get scored on once. And it was like, wow, like that can't happen. We should be destroying these kids. Line up for the next face-off. And I push off. My buddy shoots the ball out back. I run with the kid there. I give him a little shoulder, and I kick the ball forward. And when I take one more step, it was like, dude, my friend was running behind me, and he audibly heard my knee just pop, and I face planted on the ground, and my entire leg was numb. I couldn't move it for a second, and then just agonizing pain, like it was on fire. And other people have different experiences when they mess up their knee. Some people don't feel it. I felt it. I was going full speed. I literally felt my thigh bone jump over my shin bone, and I just face plant, and then I started bawling. I mean, I knew, like, whenever you have a coach ask you, like, did you hear something pop? And you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, it just hurts. Like, no, I felt something pop. It was the ominous thing that, like, you just never want to hear or feel. And I felt it, and we go to the emergency room, just make sure I'm all right. And they're like, yeah, you messed up your knee. It's swollen. You need to go to orthopedics. And I found out, like, 2 weeks later, tore my ACL and a double tear on my meniscus. So I had, like, a T, or almost like a 90-degree angle. It was, like, up and then 90-degree angle and another tear on my meniscus in 8th grade. Right? I'm, like, 14. So, boom. I get dealt with a serious injury that a lot of people don't even probably have to deal with in their life. And I was like, wow, I have to miss all of winter lacrosse, all of spring lacrosse, and all of summer. And that was a really low point for me because I didn't really have a lot of friends around me, and the one thing I loved doing was lacrosse. And once I was taken away from me, it was like, dang, like I didn't really know what to do. So the only thing I really was able to fixate on was recovery. And tearing my ACL, it sucks so much, but I'm so glad it happened so young because it really taught me how to take care of my body. Right, as of right now, especially after I have my second knee surgery, which we'll get to, I am such a nut about everything that is going on with my body because of my injuries, and just me never wanting to have them happen again. So that's when I started really falling in love with the weight room, and after I got done this 8th grade year, I'm still kind of recovering from my knee surgery, and I get into my freshman year of high school at St. Augustine. And this was yet another culture shock. It was wearing a blazer to school every day. It was a really different, definitely a preppy environment, but it was like the kids that were there, you knew they just wanted to succeed. There wasn't a kid you looked at and you're like, I know that kid doesn't want to be great, or I know that this kid is just gonna slack off, because everyone was sacrificing a lot to be there. I mean, my bus ride, when I was riding the bus, I was on a bus for 2 hours a day.
Oh my God.
And I was able to get a scholarship, so like I think my tuition went down to like $9,000 a year. So like, still a lot though. Not as much as 17, but a lot. So like, the tolerance for failure there was very low, and they pushed you too. Like it was very easy to fail, especially with a lot of the classes I was taking. And I remember one funny class. I shouldn't say funny. It was awesome. Was Lifetime Fitness. It was a weightlifting class. Taught you how to lift weights. You were graded on your PRs. If you went up 5 pounds on your PR, it was a 95. If you went up 10 pounds, it was 100. And through that and my injury, I was like, dude, I need to get strong. And I sat there. I fell in love with the squat. I anything with lower body, I was just going crazy with. And like, I started looking at these like football players. They're like repping 225 like freshman year. I'm like, these kids are animals. And some of them like went like high level D1, and just being around that competitive atmosphere, like it just kept propelling me upward and upward and upward. And after a little bit, I was able to get over my knee injury. I got cleared. I was wearing a brace, but I was slower than I was used to. And to tie this in with lacrosse, like once I got cleared, my style of play was run around, chase you because you can't get away from me, and I'll just whack you. Just like run. That's what I did when I was younger. But then as I got older, I'm wearing this like very clunky brace. I really had to get good at playing good off ball, anticipating, and then believe it or not, I got even better at timing up hits. So it does like coma slides and whatnot. I got really good at, just because like my mobility was limited for a certain period of time. And also we started lifting as a team, and I came to like realize like I'm one of the strongest kids in my class because I just got so into that recovery aspect, just like lifting, trying to get more flexible, like making sure like what I put in my body is right. So I'm playing on this team, and my freshman year I think we were 18 in the nation. Very, very, very good team.
Decent.
But like so what's crazy is I'm sitting here, I'm a new defender. I really haven't even played a year yet because I got injured after I started playing pole. And guess who my coach is? Bryce Young, who's plays for the Whip Snakes in the PLL now. National champion at University of Maryland. He's like an all-star at the PLL. Like all
decent.
The accolades go on, and I had this guy as my mentor. Mentor and coach, and I had other guys like ahead of me. Like I remember Will Carpenter was going to Lehigh. We had 2 poles going to Army. Like the talent in front of me was just ridiculous. And for a kid who just started playing defense, like the room to grow, like the ceiling got pushed sky high. I mean, the amount of growth I got in that first year being there, just like really learning how to run a defense, like proper approaches, how to clear the ball, like everything, just like basic schematics were just pounded into me that freshman year. And I remember our freshman team was really good. It was just freshmen. I was on JV and freshman my freshman year, and we really started to click. And there were that 22 class. We also all played club together. I think 11 of our club guys. And there was like, I don't know, 20 of us. 11 of us went to the same high school, so we were playing together all year round. So that year the chemistry really just started to snowball, and you get through, and I'm playing in South Shore, and I'm finally doing good in summer tournaments, balling, having fun. But it definitely was a grind though too, because you gotta remember I'm doing out 2 hours on the bus, go home, do my schoolwork, or like I'm staying for lifts and whatnot. And my life for like 2 years was really just wake up at like 6 a.m., get ready, go to school, get to school, do all that, stay after till like 5 for like practice or lifts, get home at like 6, maybe go home and lift again. There was a lot of days where I'd lift and then lift again. It's like I wanted to finish something or just, extra work or something, and then doing homework, eat homework, and then it's like 9, and then night's kind of over, wake up, rinse, repeat. And I really started to fall in love with the grind. And since I was going to a school that was 45 minutes away, again, like I wasn't the going out, hang out with friends every weekend, or seeing your buddy every single day. That really didn't apply to me. It's like all my friends at school, kids lived. I mean, I'd say there was like a 3-hour, like if you could draw a circle, like I don't know, like north-south was like 3-hour difference from like the kid who was like the most north to like me who was like the most south. So like there was like 10 kids from like my county that went to that school.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy. And like you pop out to like some of the local stuff, but like you weren't really ever in it. So like I kind of had no choice but to just fall in love with the grind. And that school taught me how to fall in love with the grind so much, to the fact to where like it just kind of carries over even till now. It's like now that I am able to be around my friends and whatnot, I know that like it's a part of me. Like if I'm not taking off those boxes of what I have to do, I freak out. Like I can't function, right?
So you talk about the day-to-day grind that you have, and all the effort and hard work that you've put into your crafts and lacrosse and other things of that nature. When it came to your sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, now obviously you had COVID-19 affect everything. Yeah. Same with me and Friggy. Where did your recruitment how does that tie into your entire story of how you're here in the lounge right now?
Yeah, so COVID sophomore year was, that was a year you didn't want to lose. That really, really hurt me. And a lot.
I was going to say, I'm going to argue junior year only because that's the one that we lost. And what I also will say about that is the entire time that you're explaining your experience at St. Augustine, I almost did it again, I'm like just seeing an exact mirror replica of my transition to O'Day, which is the private school I ended up going to. 45 minutes away, was taking the bus every morning. I'd sit in rush hour traffic to the city because mine was downtown Seattle. I live 30, 40 minutes north of that, suburbs. I was commuting down into the city every single day, getting dropped off on 5th Avenue, walking all the way up to First Hill. And like you said, there'd be nights where I leave at 6 in the morning and I don't get back until 7:30, 8 at night, like if it's a bad traffic day. And that really allowed me to be a lot more independent and kind of, you're figuring shit out for yourselves.
It was definitely, it was a lot more of like a college experience.
100%.
Like even my campus was like designed where there's different buildings where you go. So it was like we had like free time and whatnot. So it was definitely like it really prepared me for the future a lot more. But to get into like the more recruiting aspect, I was playing for South Shore, and that's a majority of my recruitment just came from playing in tournaments. I was really lost with recruiting. If I had to describe how my recruitment went, I was just kind of lost. I had no idea really what to do. No one I'm the first person in my entire family to ever play college sports. And I tried like reaching out to like my coach and like my friends, but I didn't have like a play-by-play. So I had to figure a lot of things out on my own. And I was just like reaching out to random schools. I didn't start doing like showcases or or like those like New Jersey
Prospect
teams.
Days,
Yeah, prospect days. Until I was like a junior, till like the period where they could contact you had like already passed. Like that's when I started doing my showcases and prospect days, and I got to summer of my senior year, and I got all-star, like a Apex showcase. I got a helmet and stuff, and was like playing really good. And I remember there was one tournament I played, and we were playing Leading Edge, team from Northern Jersey, whom I really don't like. I don't like any other New Jersey team. I don't like them. Any PA teams, I don't like them. But we were playing Edge, and they usually always beat us. But this game, I think it was Garling, actually, was at my game. And my coach for the club that year actually played at Cabrini, Bobby Thorpe. I don't know what kind
Shout out Bobby Thorpe.
Yeah, shout out
Cabrini
Bobby
alum.
Yeah, Cabrini alum. And he was standing next, and I was just kind of a dog out there as an LSM, and he saw me, and he was like, yeah, I really, really would like to talk to this kid. And that's where my relationship with Cabrini, like, initially started. It was like, Coach Thorpe was like, hey, this guy wants to talk to you. And at this point, I had not really any other major interest. I had some other, like, minor offers on the table at, like, from my D2, low level D3, small interest from D1, but like nobody really biting. And also, since I was planning on paying for my own college, nothing that really fit me financially. And I started talking with Coach Colfer. I hop on a call with him. Man, that dude can sell you on a call. I sat there and talked to him for like 2 hours and get in a little bit more about my life. So like I grew up around Avalon. I was an Avalon lifeguard. Coach Colfer has a house in Avalon, so I get to see him over the summer. I'm talking to him. I'm around him, and he's like, come up, visit the school. I see Cabrini on a beautiful summer day, and I'll explain this story. This is kind of funny. I come up to Cabrini, meet Coach Colfer, and I see his little dude standing next to Coach Colfer, and I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, and we're walking around. I'm like seeing the place, and like it's just like a little funny guy, kind of a little lisp, and he's like explaining some stuff, and he's like, my name's Tommy DeLuca, right? That's when I first met Coach DeLuca, and my first impression of him, I was like, what is this, assistant coach? Like, I don't know who this guy is, and like he was like quiet, and like I was like, I had no idea who he was at all, and like we go in like the locker room, like walking around. I had a great first visit, and like Coach was like telling me like, oh, you can go use the golfing simulator, you'll get all the equipment you want, giving me the spiel. And I get back in my car, and my dad's like, you know that dude walking around with us? I was like, yeah. He's like, he was like a 3-time first-team All-American, a national champion here. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, no way.
In quotes, I'm not the most athletic guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two-time defensive player of the year, like kind of the shit.
Coach, I know
Dude,
you're listening.
when I first met Coach DeLuca, I was like, I was astounded. I was like, when he says that, like, I may not be the most physically daunting player of all time, I'm like, yeah, no shit, bro. But he was undoubtedly gross. I mean, even today in like our little boxing, I mean, he's top tier. But I thought that was hilarious. I'm like walking, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's arguably one of the best players to ever play, especially in my position at Cabrini. So I didn't have anyone that just kind of threw me a better offer than Colfer, man. I mean, he threw it in there for me, and like when I asked for like money and whatnot, I mean, he was all for it. Throughout the recruiting process, he was extremely helpful, and it got to a point where it was like I didn't even know that I was like offered, and he's like Coach Garland was like, so when you gonna commit? And I was like, wait, will you guys offer me? I was like, oh shit, I guess we can do this. And next thing you know, I'm a Cavalier, and I'm locked in like my senior year, and that was the best feeling. I mean, the recruiting process was honestly my least favorite part of my lacrosse career by far.
Oh, it sucked.
I hate making highlight tapes. I'll watch film, get better and all that, but I hate making highlight tapes because, first thing, right? You pick a song that you like, and then you never want to listen to that song ever again after you make the highlight tape.
Because you hear it 50,000 times.
Because you watch it 50,000 times.
Yes, you watch it 50,000 times. And then you're watching, especially as a defender, you're watching your film, and you're like, bro. You're like, how the hell am I going to make this highlight tape? You got, like, you only have so many takeaways and yard sales. And it's like, at this point, it's like, I was really loud here. It's like, you got to choose, like, a short song or something. But, yeah, like, I hated making highlight tapes, and there you go, I'm like complaining, but that was definitely I'm so glad I got past that point, and now that I'm in college, like, I'm able to really just enjoy the sport again, and lo and behold, so my senior year, right, or for St. Augustine, I started my junior year, right, we didn't have sophomore year, I was hoping I was going to start that year, but we lost a lot of guys that graduated. But junior year start, senior year I'm starting again. And this year, the 2022 season was a very important season because, like I said, those guys that I've been playing with for a really long time, this is like, I don't know, like a year, like 5 or 6 that we've been playing. Like the chemistry's at pretty much like a maximum for what you're going to get in high school, like more than most, honestly.
Absolutely.
And, like, we were just really meshing together. And, like, ever since we were freshmen, we were saying, like, if we stick together, we are going to win a state championship. And our school had never won a state championship before. So, like, it's kind of we'd only gone to the state championship once in school history. And we just, like, really buckled down. I remember just kind of everyone just really gave it their all that season. And we had crazy upsets, and I started to take on the role of, like, hype man. Every year somebody's got to be a hype man. And I was like, you know what? It's got to be me,
You
bro.
are the person to be a hype man.
And so learning how to just kind of be outgoing and crazy in front of others, like that year was a little bit of a learning curve. But, like, really, it was just my goal every practice was to get better, but also just to bring the energy. And there were many key moments throughout that season where, like, I remember we were playing Rumson Fairhaven, right? And we're down like 4, and I think they were like 3 or 4 rated in the state at the time we played them. We were down like 4 at half, and I looked at our boys, and I remember Maddie Vanneman was there. I remember pointing at Maddie Vanneman, and I was like, remember who you are. I was like, don't let those students, they had a full student section because they were playing us, and they're like, don't let that student section ever make you forget who you are. And I was screaming, I was like, we need to start stinging fucking corners, wiping our nuts all over this turf. This is our house. And after giving that speech, we go on, we tie the game fourth quarter, and we win it, and in overtime. And that I think that game really kind of I was always an energetic kid, but the role of being that psychopath like energy guy, that's where it really was birthed, and I started taking it to that next level. And every game throughout that season, I was just coming absolutely crazy. I mean, whether I was playing good or not, I knew that my energy was, like, at a level that most kids probably never seen. And some would call it crazy, but I would call it necessary.
I would call it passionate.
Yeah.
Because when you were given that recap of what you said to Maddie Vanneman, you were staring directly in my eyes. And I'm not going to lie, I wish I had my camera on, because I was feeling it. I was like, oh my God, like, Jason, don't forget who you are. Like, you got a game to win. We're down 4 at halftime. Like, we got to do this.
But I think that's, like, my coach said this to me, and he said, lacrosse is a game of runs.
Absolutely.
It's a game of runs.
100%.
It's either you're doing good or we're doing good. In my senior year, it clicked with me so much to where like I knew that it was really just about energy. Like you get to a point, especially in college, everyone can pass the ball, everyone can catch, everyone can shoot. We can all run a defense, right? But do you have the energy or the passion to make those tough ground balls, or can you stay composed enough, or like not drop your head? Or I think that's really where games are won. It's like when you don't show any weakness and you're giving it everything you got, and you got your boy cheering right next to you. That's a recipe for success. And like as a defender, I think about it this way: it's like if I strip a kid and he drops his head, I won. I have you. It's like, you're mine.
He's staring at me again.
Yeah,
I'm fucking shooting myself over here.
But it's like you have to get in like this like way of thinking. It's like when I line up on defense and I'm across from this kid, I'm like, I want to make this kid my fucking bitch. Like I wanna do awful things to this kid, and anytime he shows any weakness, it just makes me like I just get more, and I'm like, I'm gonna fuck this kid up even more. It's like like imagine you see like a punching bag, and you know you can just go crazy and wail on it, but as soon as that punching bag starts to punch back, you might start taking a step back, right? So coming out, like PJ does such a great job with it. He comes out with that psychotic energy that no matter how he's feeling, he's just gonna come at you with everything he's got, and he's not gonna show you that he's pissed off at all. Like imagine you get scored on, right, and you're just unfazed. And I feel like I'll ask you as an offensive player, like you snap a kid and he pops right back up, and he's still just as ferocious as the second before it happened. Like, does that not play any factor?
I mean, yeah, you have to think about that where because in that moment when you snap him, you're like, oh, I got him. And if you bounce it back up, starts teeing you up again, it throws you off a little bit. Yeah. You're like, holy fuck, like, I was not ready for that.
Did I actually get him?
Yeah, and then now you're kind of like overthinking, like, oh, I have to make a play out of this.
Yeah.
You might force a shot, you might force a bad pass, and he gets in your head, and now he won.
Yeah, so once I got to Cabrini, let's say I'll explain this for the listeners. Like once I got to Cabrini, came in, was playing in the fall. I feel like I had a decent time in the fall. I was able to start the Ocean City game.
Yep.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. And I was like, all right, I got some momentum rolling here. I'm confident in my ability, and I go over that winter, and I'm just grinding. I'm freaking ready for January, and I get like I think a day in or a day or two in, and next thing you know, like my knee's swollen and I could barely move it, and I'm like, damn, this really doesn't feel right. Go and talk to Jess, who's our athletic trainer, and she's like, yeah, I want to get you checked out. And I was so pissed, bro. I was like, why is this lady pulling me out right now? I'm like, can I not get some exercises? And as angry as I was, and probably as much shit as I talked, I'm like, this lady has no idea what she's doing. She diagnosed it perfectly. Tore my meniscus. And looking back on meniscus versus ACL. ACL was definitely the worst injury in terms of like recovery and whatnot. But psychologically, the meniscus was so much worse. Because I walked out of surgery. I walked on 2 feet out of surgery. So like you're kind of okay and you feel okay. There's like a little swelling and a little stiffness that you gotta go through, but you feel alright, but you know you can't push it because you're gonna screw up everything. And like I decided to take a medical hardship waiver, which was like halfway through our season, and because of the rule where in D3 where you can't redshirt, I had to sit out the rest of the season. And Lord, was that really, really hard. And I took pride in just coming in on the sideline and just giving it screaming my head off, screaming till my lungs are sore, trying to just bring on any amount of energy that I could, because like I hated it that I couldn't contribute to the team. I hated being a bystander. Even when my knee was messed up, I was still trying to hand out water bottles and whatnot. doing my best, but like sitting there sideline for the entire year. I mean, I got 3 practices and I was done. Like that was soul crushing. And I'll even get into like I got to such a bad mental health point, like even worse than my ACL, like where I actually had to step away from school.
I was just about to ask, like, when you did have to, there was a point where you stepped away from the team and went back home and kind of like, you know, had to do that for yourself. And I remember vividly, like, a couple days had gone by and we hadn't seen you, and a lot of us were like, what happened to Seb? Like, where did he go? During that time away from the team, like, what did happen? What did you have to go through?
It was a rebirthing, dude. I mean, so I was having some off the field issues, especially like psychologically. And one thing, my mom was diagnosed as a manic depressive, which is a form of bipolar disorder, and that in and of itself was starting to show me that a lot of that's hereditary. And I was having like just some off the field issues with like some of the stuff I was getting into. Won't delve in too deep, but I started to take a step take a step away from some of the things I was doing, and I just kind of realized that I was kind of an emotional wreck. And one thing that was suppressing that was lacrosse. Lacrosse is a lot of guys don't realize that, like, whatever sport you play, whatever thing you do, like the gym or whatnot, like, it's such a release to where it's almost like a drug.
It's an escape.
Yeah, it's an escape. You're on that field for 2 hours. You're not thinking of anything. And when I didn't have that and I was sitting up in that booth and, like, your thoughts are just running wild, like, I really just realized that I was genuinely struggling. I was like, dude, I'm miserable right now. I'm not able to work out as much as I want to. Not able to play a sport that I love. And I was just like, I need to I had to take a step away because my mental health was honestly deteriorating. It was crumbling, and I was miserable. And I called my dad, and he was extremely supportive. He's like, dude, he's like, you're not playing. He's like, come home. You and I we'll get through this. And I went home. I started talking with a therapist and just like kind of learning how like my brain works. I was always really good at the physical rehabilitation, but now I had to learn at something completely different, which honestly was the hardest thing I've ever had to learn was mental rehabilitation. It's like, how do I get my brain working the way that I wanted it to? And I talked with Coach DeLuca. I talked with Coach Colfer before I was leaving, and everyone was extremely supportive. But like, so I leave for those couple months. I haven't really talked about what I kind of did or went through in those couple months, dude. And I'm not gonna go too deep in the mental aspect, but to recover, I remember I was talking to this therapist, and he's like, yeah, whenever you're having like bad or negative thoughts, he's like, look at a car and describe the color in your head to stop your thoughts from racing. And I was like, sure. So I go and I try it. Did not help. And I was like, wow, this is really what it comes to. I mean, I remember going to like this doctor, and I'm like, I described like this like laundry list of problems I'm having, and they just handed me a packet to fill out. All right, fill this out. We'll diagnose you, whatever. And I got put on an antipsychotic too. So they just put me on a drug, whatever. Go deal with whatever you gotta deal with. I'm like, I don't know. It didn't really sit too well with me. I remember talking to my grandmother. My grandmother was a very spiritual person growing up. I've been around faith my entire life, and she was like, just try praying. And I asked God, and I was like, God, can you help me get through this? And for the first time in my life, I can clearly say that I heard the voice of God, and he was like, yes. He's like, I will help you get through this. And in those couple months, I studied a couple things. I I spent a lot of time learning. One of the things I learned was spiritual warfare, and how many of these things in our day-to-day lives, especially as college students, like you wouldn't even realize like how a lot of these bad habits and things in your life can take a huge toll on your spirit or your mental psyche. And I started studying, and like I realized that like the most miserable I was like the most like was the furthest from God I was. Right? If I would look at points in time like, dang, I was miserable here, I was pretty far from God there. And so I start learning. I'm like, all right, well, I start praying, and whatever you want to believe about prayer, whether it's real or not, at the simplest fact of it is that it is a form of meditation.
I was just about to say it's the most powerful form
Yeah,
of
it's
meditation.
the most powerful form of meditation.
Before you get a little bit more into that, like how many times are you praying a day?
It depends. It's like I shouldn't say like I prayed like when I needed it, but like at this point it was probably like I was doing like 1 to 2 15-minute like sitting there and praying every day. I was praying things like the rosary, and then I was trying to learn the most. That was the thing I wanted to learn the most, because like I wanted to learn how to get closer to God, right? So I was doing like daily reflections, and I studied this one dude, got this guy out of Colorado. He's an exorcist priest, and he's like Father Ripperger, and he's a devout Catholic and whatnot, and he was just kind of like I listened to some of the stuff he was saying, and he really took faith and put it in a regular day aspect, and it just kind of clicked with me. So I used this faith to get through these severe mental hurdles I was going through, because like I just kind of had nothing. It was like kind of like I had no other kind of option. It was like the drug and the treatment that the doctors were giving me was kind of BS. It wasn't actually fixing the problem. And so I switched up a therapist. I started talking to one that was like she was actually Jewish, and she was wonderful. But I started studying on just how to fix my mind, and by using so I used faith. Right. Then I got into getting back in and getting my body right. So every night I was doing like a 5-minute ice bath with like 20-30 minutes in the sauna, just clearing my mind. And I started listening to David Goggins.
He's the savior of everything.
Yes.
If you need to fix your mindset, you listen to
Yes.
that. I always have the Joe Rogan episode where he goes on there and just tells his horror stories. Like when I need to get fired up. I think I listened to that before my first box cross game this summer. I was just like, I need to dial in right now. Boom, that's what I turned to.
Yeah, and I started listening to him and his whole beginning life story of like how his dad used to just beat the shit out of his mom, and like he'd have to stay up till like 2 a.m. cleaning a roller rink, and kids at school were calling him the N-word. And I'm like, dude, like my life's not that bad. And through listening to him, doing these exercises to help strengthen like my mental fortitude, like I developed this thing which we talked earlier in the podcast, was gratitude. That if there's one thing I could say I picked up from those couple months where I was gone, was just gratitude. Because being gone, I realized how much I was grateful for lacrosse. With my family helping me, I was like, how grateful I am for them. My teammates reaching out, like you guys, like how grateful, like just missing you guys. I was like, dang, like I'm really grateful for you guys. And like even the little aspects of things. And I got to a point in my prayer where I was like, just every day I was like, thank you for, I was like, I pray that you let me wake up tomorrow. That's all I ask for. Just if I can just live another day. When you kind of trick your mind, I shouldn't say trick, but you train your mind into just waking up and just being happy you woke up that day, it turns a lot of things for the better. Because if at a bare minimum you wake up that day, anything good happens is extra. A lot of people, right, they'll wake up, and if they don't, they can have if you look on paper, they have a really good day, but they might only describe it as okay, or I didn't really do much. But if if you were to show it to somebody who's like struggling, they had a great day. And so like if I were to go back and look at my days, like, oh, woke up, got to get smarter, ate some good food, got to enjoy practice, went to sleep. And I was sitting there, like, once I thought about it like that, like, I was so miserable in the moment, right? That, like, I wasn't grateful for just those simple things. Like, I got to wake up that day. I got to eat. I got to watch my friends play lacrosse. I got to go hang out around the field. And switching my mindset just being grateful for waking up, it helped me so much throughout like my mental struggles. And then I finally got started to get that momentum to kind of help bring me out of it. And eventually I actually just stopped give the drugs that the doctors prescribed. I was like, nah, that's not really working. I really started to stick with just my faith, being grateful, growing closer to God. I had a lot of like lifestyle changes, like which you guys know. Like, say I'm a little bit different of a person from like where I was last fall, and I really came out of it just kind of locked in with just like a different purpose. Is like, if you ever ask yourself, like, when you're a little kid, what'd you want to be, right? And every kid was like, oh, I want to be professional athlete, or I want to be an astronaut.
Firefighter.
Like these, like, and you're like, where do you see yourself like when you're like 20, 19 or something? Like, well, like, if you were to ask me that, I was like, oh, I'm playing Division I lacrosse somewhere. I have perfect grades. Like, I'm just succeeding in every single aspect of life. And I just thought to myself, I was like, dang, like, if little me saw me now, I think he'd be disappointed. And I was like, if you're gonna do it for anyone, it's like, do it for yourself, man, and just like start working to get to that point where little you'd be like, dang, that's where I go, like that's the person I become, like to where little you would like be proud of that, right? And I've kind of been on that journey as of recently, where it's just like I'm working to not only make those around me proud, but it's like I'm trying to make like that little version of myself, like, oh, that's where I end up, that's the kind of lacrosse player I become, that's kind of the man I become, the father and all that, like just kind of making that little version of you proud.
That's some powerful shit, man.
Super powerful.
I almost cried halfway through that.
Yeah, I teared up a little bit back like 10 minutes ago. I think you're talking about some lifestyle shit.
I just have one question. Do you think that your experience at St. Augustine kind of helped you to flip that switch and be like, you know what, I can turn on faith? Because personally, like, I didn't grow up a very religious man, and I was actually very not religious until I got to O'Day, and it was kind of a culture shock. Like my sophomore year, that first month was trying to figure out, like, you're praying before every class, you have a morning prayer, you go to mass once a month. Like, it's a lot of stuff for somebody who didn't grow up Catholic. It was like when I first did at my first mass, I went up and took communion. And I did not know what that was. I said I was going to do whatever the person in front of me did. Went up, took the body, went over to the wine, and nobody did the wine at our mass, which was kind of nice. But I took the cracker and, went back to my pew. And I think I found out a couple months later in our theology class, we were talking about like the Eucharist.
Not supposed to eat the cracker?
Yes. And they were like, yeah, if you're not Catholic, like, don't do that. And I was just sitting there like, oh, that's
I'm going to hell.
Totally me. But like later on when it came to COVID, because we went into COVID while I was recovering from my wrist surgery that happened, I want to say 4 months before. And there was some times where I was like, holy shit, like it was what I was talking about earlier. Like everything sucks right now. Like I don't get to see my friends. I'm locked in my house all day. I can't play lacrosse. The only thing I can do is like these half-ass workouts that like aren't actually that intense because like I'm still rehabbing. Nothing. A lot of stuff was going wrong in my rehab, and I was like, what is going right? And that's when I think, and I'd never done this before in my life, like I started sitting in my room at night, and I'd start praying, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to start putting the stuff that I'm learning in like my classes and that I've been picking up over the year, like I'm going to start practicing it and see what happens. And I think that's really when I was able to, like you said, train your mind of like, yeah, the world sucks right now. Everybody's at home. Businesses are showing the world sucks. How am I going to make it great? How am
Yeah.
I going to make my day great? Like what you're saying.
Going off of like the world sucks. Another thing, David Goggins taught me. I'm on his second book right now.
I want to read that so bad. The first one was
He
amazing.
he was like, embrace the things that suck. Like anything great that happens, always has a laundry list of things that just suck. And I treated those things that suck as mental training. It's like a mental workout. Like, oh, I gotta wake up early. Boom. And every day that you wake up early, it becomes easier and easier, and your mind gets stronger and stronger. And every little mental battle that I had, I was like, if I overcome this, I'm just gonna get stronger. And when you apply that to literally everything you do, it's like you start to not you first of all become grateful of all the good things, but you also welcome the bad things. And when you welcome the bad things and see that they make you stronger, then you're getting literally the best of both worlds. Anything bad that happens to you, I see it as a test, and you'll grow from it. But anything good that happens to you is just extra. And going off on like your other question, did I grow up religious? When I was younger, I did go to church with my grandma, but I didn't know what it was. Like, there's one thing to know about God, and there's one thing to know God, right? And at school, I definitely would say I knew about God. You could ask me a lot of like religious questions, and about like the life of Jesus, or like even multiple religions. Like I was very,
Open.
I was very very knowledgeable about all of it, but I didn't. If you were to ask me, like, have you ever had a conversation with God? I'd be like, no. Like, how do you do that? Like, it was only at the point where I was at my lowest, where I was like, there's nobody really else there except God. And that's when I really got to actually know God. And I was like, I always think about like St. Augustine's case. It's like he knew a lot about God. It's like his mom was St. Monica. Like, it's not like he didn't know what God was, but until he hit a bad point in his life to where he actually started to reach out to God and change some things or really figure some stuff out, is like when I really started, like when he and I both really started to get into faith. It's like when you're not like participating in like a lot of things, how can you just be happy with life when given nothing?
Wow.
Beautiful. We have some wise men that we have on these on our episodes.
I fucking love that because like you're training my mind right now too.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. As like I'm trying to be a sponge right now and just absorb all of the passion that you have towards this, because like you can feel it. I mean, when we were talking, I want to say it was maybe like 10 minutes ago, about like when you were down in the dumps, like you're embracing that shit now. And I kind of like, I love the way that you're approaching it as like, yeah, every bad thing that happens, like it's training my mind for when stuff's good. I can understand how good it is.
Because you got to look at it this way. It's like, if I didn't go through that mental struggle, then I wouldn't be here, and I'd say a better position than where I was.
Absolutely.
So like you have to be appreciative of it, and like it may suck when you're going through that storm, but like you'll get through it, you'll be all right, and you'll come out a better person.
100%.
It's like Jesus said, it's like we're always in a storm. We're either going into one, in one, or coming out of one. Right? You're always in that. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're always going to be going through something. It's just take it and get better. It's like, don't complain. There's so much to be appreciative for. It's like, I think, and you can look and apply that to anything, man. Especially in sports, there's gonna be so many points there. I love sports because a lot of it's kind of like storybook kind of thing. Like, we're gonna have an up, we're gonna have a down, we're gonna have some rough in the middle, and it's all gonna come to an end, right? And if you apply that to like our season or like the way we do things, like you really can't go wrong. Like like last season, right? You look at that point where we're kind of like down, and we had that talk with like DeLuca and Tuck. We were kind of at a low point, but then we grew out of it, right? And then we were doing really well, and hopefully we were appreciative of that moment, or else we would have let it go to waste. and then you have some rough in the middle. And you just gotta tough it out, especially with like those 2.5 hour golf practices, man. I mean, toughen those out, bro.
So I want to ask about, as we're kind of talking about this rise back. So you come back to campus in the fall, fully recovered. Today we had our first lacrosse practice, and your first lacrosse practice in how long?
If you count the 3 in January, this is, I guess 9 months or something.
First practice in 9 months. What's that feeling like when you step on the turf? You're wearing your pads, you got the Cabrini penny on, that helmet. What goes through your mind when you're like, you realize you're back?
It's fucking electric, dude. It's such a good. Again, I said earlier, it's like a drug, bro. Going out there and being out with your boys, doing the thing you love most. I mean, you can't find that anywhere else, bro. There's no pill you take. There's no whatever. You can't inject it. You can't pray for it. You can't eat it. There's nothing. You don't get that anywhere else. And to be without that for 9 months, it sucked. But being out there again, it felt so good. And again, it just makes you. I was so happy and grateful for today. I was definitely feeling a little rusty. It was alright, but just being out there was just so fun. I couldn't have asked for more. I mean. Although, like, my body was hurting after those, 3.5 hours,
Yep.
I was like, I honestly still in my mind think I was like, I could have been out there all day.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! So I think that's a really good transition into
moment of the week.
Our moment of the week.
So I will say it's a great transition, but I'll start it off. That is my moment of the week. Was today.
So I think let's dig into our practice today, like kind of briefly,
Yeah.
but as
being back with the fellas.
It was unreal, and I said this before we started recording, and I actually posted in our chat right before, like, today was 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
We started at 2, we walked out at 5:30.
Yeah.
It was a 3.5 hour practice, and I've never in my life, in my lacrosse career, anything that you throw at me, I've never gone through 3.5 hours of grinding, of running up and down, of competing, and I've never felt more juiced in my life at the end. Like, usually the example that I was saying right before we stepped on is like, if I go through 3.5 hour practice, I'm contemplating quitting the next day, where I'm like, I hate the sport. I don't want to touch my stick for a week, maybe even 2 weeks. Like, I am lacrossed out. Right now, while I'm sitting, I want to practice tomorrow. I want to get right back out there and kind of like just see what happens. Like,
yeah, 100%.
That was a extremely unique situation, and I think it's all because of how unique our situation is right now with the context of our school, our team.
100%.
Well, you can look around, right? So, like, every year, like, I felt it so much last year, like, so we got, like, 60-something guys, and you're like, oh, is this kid, like, gonna, like, ride it out? Is he gonna be here all for, like, my roommate? Hell no. So, like, it's kind of weird, like, do you bother kind of trying to build a connection? It's, like, it's really weird, but when you got 1 year, the guy to the left and right of you are bought in because they stayed when things were uncertain.
We could have left.
Yeah, you could have left, but like you got guys around you that there's no question about like if guys really want it. It's like that. All right, so that's answered, and then you have a coach that also really wants it. A guy that has put a lot of time and effort into this program. I mean, he played here. He won a championship here. So there's no other guy that would want to see this place succeed other than him. And also the way that he coaches now, I'd say it's more relaxed, but I love it, man.
It's
I
awesome.
mean, I think we'll get so much better just from the fact that I think everyone's gonna look forward to practice every day.
You can rally around your head coach.
That's
Oh,
exactly
100%.
what I was going to say. Like, when we were stretching right before practice started, the thing that tipped me up, and I turned an 8, and I was like, this fires me up. This little tiny thing that DeLuca did that I've been asking for years. I put it in my like end of the year evaluation thing where it's like, what do you want to see more of? Like, I want to see a coach I can rally behind. He went down the line right before practice and dapped up every single
guy.
one of us. And you can say, oh, it's only 27 guys. Like, you got to do that. It's a small group. But I'm like, nah. He went out of his way. He came across the field and to every person, looked us in the eyes, dapped us up, and said, let's fucking go. And I literally dapped him up, turned aside, kept doing, I think it was like a quad stretch or something. And I literally was like, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. This is what I needed. Like, I can fight for that guy.
Dude, yeah, like, you have, I think everyone has respect for him, but also, like, really likes him. And he's such an interesting coach where it's like, well, if your team doesn't respect you, then you're probably not going to get anywhere. So, like, coaches usually just try to check off that box first. But then, usually, there's a lot of people that probably won't like you. You might be an asshole, or your coaching style might not be that great, but at least they respect you. But our coach, Coach DeLuca, is like, we all respect him. We all really like him, and I love the way he coaches. I mean, that's a trifecta for success.
I agree.
The other thing is he coaches the team, I think, how he wishes his college career went. He's been able to take the notes of what he likes about how programs have been run, what he doesn't like about how programs have been run, and now it's all in his hands.
Because the coach can really get stuck in their ways.
Exactly.
100%.
And he was in this program 3 years ago. He came back, I think he told us, like, he had the extra fifth year, and he took it. And that was before, like, nobody really knew what that whole process would be. And he's like, I wanted another year at this school. And now with this whole situation, like, he could have left, and my biggest fear was we were going to lose him because his grad contract had expired. I wasn't sure what his plans were.
Yeah, like, we lost Coach Hill, we lost Coach Tucker, we lost our head fucking coach. Like, he's the only guy that stayed. And again,
Coach Campy. Campy. That's another moment of the week.
I saw him. I was like, yo, he's here.
I think when you walked on the field, I forget who first yelled it, but I just heard Camp, and I was like, Camp, what the fuck? And I looked over, and I just see him walking off with a smile, and I just screamed, let's fucking go, Campy.
Yo, Coach Camp. So when I was giving out water bottles and all that, Coach Camp, big chiefer on water bottles, bro. I'd have like six water bottles, and like our boys just came back from like a 3-minute stand on defense, and Coach Camp's like, oh, right here. I'm like, dude,
he runs that box like a madman.
He does.
He knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing.
It would always be funny whenever like we'd get an offsides or like we'd get a subbing penalty, and Colf would just turn to him and be like, Camp, what are we doing? And he'd just be like, I'm trying. It's not me. Awesome to see him. And I mean, just the vibe of practice overall, like we said, start to finish, it was incredible. It started pissing rain halfway through.
But I loved it.
And I think it just made it that much better.
Just made it better.
It turned gritty. It turned like, hey, we're out here. We all chose. I said this in our team meeting on Thursday, I want to say, whenever it was. We all chose to be here. We chose to go through this grind. We all could have easily hung up our cleats, gone to Florida where we know it's not going to rain that much.
Every single day, and then be dry.
Literally, we understand what we got into, and Seb hit the nail on the head. We're all bought in. There's no questions.
No questions.
I want to go to practice now.
Are we gonna agree that that's collectively all of our moments of the week?
So yes, I would say easily that's the moment of the week, but I think we could expand on it, right?
Yes.
What individually, other than that, what were you guys' other moments?
Mine was, I loved Thursday night. We were able to, a bunch of us went to watch the Eagles were playing the Vikings. Thursday night football, home opener in Philly. You know, if you are going to school in Philly, you know Eagles fans. Eagles fans are psychotic, and there's nothing better than watching a football game with Eagles fans. So Seb was there. We went over to Nate's crib on 4th Ave. It was me, him, Matt, his roommate, and all the 4th guys. And we're watching the football game, doing our thing. Eagles, Vikings, first half, it was like a kind of shitty game. I think it was like 13-7 or something. There's 4 fumbles. Halftime comes, or right before halftime, actually. Nate and Bear have been on this fishing game on the Xbox. Yeah. And they have been loving it. I think they had gotten it the day before, and before I got there, they said they dropped $20 on like add-ons that they could get for the game. So Bear's like, "Yo, can we play the fishing game right now? Like it's almost it's halftime." He says this, they turn on the fishing game, whatever. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it's definitely not halftime right now. Like there's still probably 2 minutes left or something. So they switch the TV, whatever. I'm just like kind of watching the game on my phone. I'm like, guys, it's not halftime, and they just keep going. They're playing their fishing game, whatever. And then Nate's like, all right, that's probably it. Like, let's get back to the game. And I'm like, well, halftime just started, buddy. Like, that was 10 minutes ago when we were going through the 2-minute warning, that kind of stuff. So then they have the genius idea. Let's get a second TV. So we have our main TV watching the game, second TV underneath where they're playing that fucking fishing game. And it's like, it's scary because of how into it you get. Like, I'm watching these guys fish through a screen and I'm like kind of locked in where it's like, oh, we got one, fish on. Like,
it's like there's a touchdown scored and you're like, oh, I caught a fish.
Yeah, literally. So where this becomes my moment of the week is the second half where the football game's going on. The Eagles are extending their lead. Vikings are coming back a little bit. And we got 3 guys glued in on this. Nate is sitting crisscross applesauce in front of this thing. Halfway through the fourth quarter, Matt pops out of his chair and he lies flat on the ground, fucking feet up in the air like he's a toddler, just watching this fishing game. Bears locked in. I took that moment and I was like, I want to bottle this up and kind of live in it forever. Like, this is just so wholesome. This is so college. And I mean, like, I love football, but just being around the guys like that is why I love being here. Like, stupid shit. Like, I'm never going to forget that. I'm never going to forget it. So that's my moment of the week. Thursday night fishing, not football.
There you go. Still tune out.
I honestly would say, what was it, Wednesday we did the conditioning test?
We did, yes.
I live for those lifting conditioning tests. The energy that's brought in them, being able to test, like, what, like, your max speed is, like, what, like, kind of like where your progress is, like, where you rank, and, like, dude, honestly, us all going out there, just flying around, getting great scores, trying to beat one another, like, that was my moment of the week. And then especially right after we did that 3/4 mile run, and we were like a pack, dude. I remember I tried setting the pace up in front, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to break away now. And I turn around, and you guys are right there, and I'm like, shit. And I'm like, no, I need to get a little bit faster, and I start picking up the pace more, and everyone's even closer. And then right at the end, Nate passes me, and we all got under what was like I think 450, and like that was just a great day. And it's like, I love going out there, just a little competition, getting better and seeing where we're at. That was my moment of the week.
And pushing each other, like you were saying. So Nick already said that practice with his moment of the week. Any honorable mention moments of the week? Pretty lame week in the morning.
Shout out Jana Tidwell.
Yep, we have to.
Great PR class. Probably not going to be there on Wednesday. So if you're listening on Wednesday, just know I probably won't be in your class. But I might. We don't know yet.
Who knows?
Yeah, I love your class, Jana.
So life goes on.
Sab, I told you before we even started this episode that we do a draft. And I told you to think of a topic. Yeah. We've had 17 topics.
You guys don't have any other questions? No?
I mean, we can ask more.
We have...
That's usually what we do for the moment of the week.
Because I got time.
I think that this has been the best conversation.
Yeah, it's been
easily.
Fun. It's been awesome.
I just looked
Every
at the clock.
angle.
And I don't want to say this and it's like, oh, we need to wrap up. We're 2 hours into this thing.
We're 2 hours in?
We're 2 hours
in.
We're 2 plus.
203.
That's nuts.
And I feel like this has been a seamless thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, I will also say, we didn't have to be here. We could have, just put the mic on your, give you the mic and headphones and just, walked away.
I talk to myself a lot. It's a lot of practice.
Yeah. you easily could have just done this by yourself for 2 hours. Just, filling in the blanks, So, yeah, you have a gift, dude.
Thank you.
Just chronological order.
I said it
about yourself.
I said it earlier. You're an underrated storyteller.
Great storyteller.
Oh my god, you had me fucking sitting here. Give me my popcorn. Give me a little a leg rest.
We went
here,
through comedy, drama, suspense, everything, man.
Everything, and I love it. Actually, I do have one final question. It's just because this is the first moment I met you, but your visit, because you were the first overnight visit that we did post-COVID.
Yeah.
You were the first one where it was like, hey, they pulled me and Wyatt in. They're like, we're going to have this kid. He's in the honors college, all that stuff. He's going to stay overnight with you. Good luck. Here's the rules. Follow it. Go. What was your perspective of that day? Because you're already committed at that point, and you're locked in. You're midway through, right before your season had started, if I'm not mistaken, for lacrosse.
Yeah.
Walk me through that experience during your overnight.
Wait, when did I come? What do you remember specifically?
It was after the Haverford game. I know that for a fact. It was that Sunday because I had to work that admissions event. It was honors accepted
Yeah,
students
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Because we did the talk with Conway in the mansion.
Was that fall or spring? No.
You're telling me it was the
Spring? Okay.
Sunday after?
It was the Sunday after Haverford. Yes.
Well,
That's
shit.
when-
Yeah, it definitely was. Cause yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It was. So yeah, coming in, I thought it was really cool. My main thing was I didn't get to overnight at any school. So this is like the first college overnight. So I just want to see like what was up.
Mhm.
And I thought it was the coolest thing. It was like you're just with your boys. You guys all had like that suite room.
The penthouse.
The penthouse.
He got to
dude.
see the penthouse.
Dude, the penthouse. Yo, for the listeners, it was like what 4 beds
it was
stacked up.
yeah.
It was like a triple room. These guys just.
It was
These
a
guys
triple
just.
room on the 3rd floor with the biggest, like an 18-foot ceiling.
It was a
was
full
insane.
floor to ceiling window too.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. So much
They
space.
stacked 2 beds, not bunk beds. They stacked 2 beds.
So
Pencils were
They
displayed.
made
my
2
gosh.
beds into bunk beds.
Yeah.
So like I come
Dangerous.
in
Most
from
dangerous
high
thing.
school and I see this. I'm like, dude, there's like 4 guys living in here.
7 at some points.
Yeah, like it was kind of ridiculous, and like you're chilling there with the fellas, and like I didn't come on like the greatest night. I don't think there wasn't anything going on, but I was like, listen, if there's nothing going on and this is what I'm doing, I'm not complaining, bro. I was like, these look like the guys I want to hang around. I remember, did I swear the first time I came, I saw Ty, Carol with a shaved head. And
Yes, because also
kinda what we were
you
doing.
walked back. So we did the honors accepted thing throughout the morning, afternoon. Then we they dropped you off with me.
Yeah.
Your dad went one way, we went the other. Walked back to the dorm, and that's when I had to tell you. I was like, "All right, so we're gonna meet my roommate Wyatt."
Oh yeah.
Wyatt doesn't have hair right now.
Wyatt has. No, I'm kidding.
he's going through stuff at Chop, but no. So I was like, he doesn't have hair right now.
Bro, I walked
kinda
in
what
that
happened.
room and I was like, this kid looks like Caillou. I mean, dude, I walked in and I saw him. I was like, bro, dude, you don't look good with a shaved head. And then I walk in the other room and I see Ty Carroll with a shaved head
And a mustache.
and a mustache. He looked like an old-time bodybuilder. He had no hair. And I'm looking at this kid. I'm like, these look like the funniest bunch of kids I ever could be around. And yeah, I was like, I was so excited. I was like, oh, that's what they do on that night. I can't wait for it. But just getting introduced, I knew Brady and Jake already, so like bowling with them, and yeah, like kind of. I just want to see what's up. I couldn't really ask for anything more.
Yeah, and then the next morning, I remember. I think you went to study hall, if I'm not mistaken. You went down with a bunch of the guys.
I do
Because you
remember
actually
that, yeah.
you scared the shit out of me. Because you stayed in Jake and Brady. They didn't live in their room, and so instead of having you sleep on our floor, we're like,
oh
yo,
yeah, I
you can
slept in their bed.
go take their bed, like do your thing, whatever. I think Wyatt had study hall that morning. Same with like Brady, Jake, and a bunch of the other guys. I didn't. I just had to go to lift. So I was like, yo, like whatever you want to do, go crazy. But I remember waking up. I think I went over to check in the room and I saw you weren't there. And I was like, what the flying fuck? Where did the recruit go? Because it's like everything goes. I had a feeling that.
There's like one rule: don't lose the recruit.
Don't lose the recruit.
Don't lose the recruit.
And I was like, that is gonna fall on me, and that's gonna blow up in my face. So
Oh, yeah.
I texted into our class chat, and I'm like, who the fuck has the recruit? Where is he? And they're like, oh, he's in study hall right now. I'm like, one.
Yeah, I'm actually
why?
pissed. I went to that study hall, bro. It was like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I was not feeling that.
And then afterwards, you tried to go up and lift. Because I think I told you, I was like, yeah, I have a
Oh
lift.
yeah, I
after.
was trying to lift, and I was like, you know what? While I'm here, might as well see what y'all do. And then Dustin was like, "No, you're a recruit, bro. You can't do that." And I was like, "Come on, bro.
I know. I was like, oh, no.
Let me throw up some weight."
It's like, I feel bad. I totally just twisted your arm a little bit, pulled your leg. But no, that was a fun experience.
Kolf did that to 10 degrees higher.
Oh my gosh. So we had talked about greatest salesman on the planet.
There's no wind on our field.
There is.
100. It's a wind tunnel.
You will never practice before 9 a.m. I remember that one vividly. Okay, and then 6 a.m. We get the schedule for our calendar, and there's a 6 a.m.
There's
2
5
weeks
of them.
later.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Which, I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's every school.
it's part of the process. And I I've come to.
Do we have one this year?
We
Yeah,
do. I think we have
Hell
2 or
yeah.
3.
Hell yeah, I like that.
They're the best worst practices. They're the best because you get to get it
Get it out
done
of
with
the
in
way.
the morning. They're the worst because the first 30 minutes is the hardest thing you have to
Oh,
ever
yeah.
do.
I enjoy them.
No, I'm not gonna
I-
lie. They make the day, dude. It feels
I'd
like
much
2 days.
rather-
It's kind of
Yes.
crazy. Like you usually don't get up at 5:30, and you're probably going to bed at the same time. And it's like, dude, it's like an extra like 4 hours of light.
I'd much rather have a 6 a.m. practice than an 8 p.m. practice.
Actually, facts, dude.
Yes.
We had a couple of those. I'm like, bro, I just like the day's over, bro.
It's also like my problem is I like to caffeinate a lot before practice. So if you get to do that in the morning, it's like cool. You're jump starting your day, kickstart. Maybe you'll crash a little bit later.
What's your choice of caffeine?
So it depends. I'm
Snorts it.
yes. I take pre-workout just straight to the dome. No, like if I'm going to recently, I've been going to Wawa and just picking up a drink on the way.
Mhm.
If I want to go light on the caffeine, this is how you know I'm a caffeine addict. I've been working on it. I'm getting better. Monster has 150 milligrams per can.
Yeah.
So if I want to go lighter, I'll go for that. If I want a little bit more of a boost, but nothing like too crazy, I'll either rip a C4 or a Rain Storm. Those are like the smaller cans.
Yeah, right.
They're
200
delicious. Yep, 200 there. So I'll do those like pre-workout on my way. I've just been out of pre for a while, and I haven't ordered. I don't know why. Different story. And then if I really want to get, I had this conversation with Bolt actually before practice. When I want to get cracked out, not cracked out, but like when I really want to like get buzzing, I'll have a Rain because those are 300 milligrams of caffeine.
I'm familiar.
So popped one of those. I love doing that before practice, before games, something where it's just like when I hopped on the field today, I drinking it a little bit earlier on than usual. I tried to do it like 30 minutes before. But I was fucking wired. I was like ready to kill somebody. And I love that feeling. I live for it.
Dude, like this summer I was lifeguarding and bouncing, right? So I was going from working at the Princeton Avalon, which is bar nightclub, from like 8 to 2:15 in the morning, and I'd wake up and I'd go lifeguard from 9 to 5, and I'd do that like a couple days. I'd have that double a couple days a week, and I remember I was getting up like 2 rains a day, and then maybe a little something in between. Maybe a scoop of pre-workout, who knows? But like that for caffeine before a practice, honestly, my tried and true for the longest time was just a white Monster. That was
I love
tastes great.
I'm a big light blue. It's like the Ultra Fiesta because it's like it reminds me of I can't even like picture the brand, but I think it's Trident Gum, like their fruity version. I don't know why, but it's spot on to that flavor, and I love it. And Rain has their own version of that. It's like Mango Matic or whatever. Delicious. It's an S tier energy drink. Actually, now that I think about it, I did.
Yeah, we got to do.
I do have a energy drink review that I do with Eddie M. I don't know if I brought that up on the show. I probably have.
You have. Just the Colton Pageant episode.
It was, yes. And I did a new one this morning because I had the Melon Rain, like the watermelon. I'd never had it before.
Ooh,
Yes.
it's very good.
Even better, like craziest coincidence. Me and Nick walk in at different times to the locker room. Both have the same Rain. It's
Wait, what's your
what-
favorite rain?
Melomania is mine.
I'm a
Actually, no, that's bullshit. Watermelon Warlord is my favorite.
okay. That is a good one. But I have to go with Mango Matic, the one
I'm a cherry limeade.
It's good. It's good.
that
Very
one's
solid.
that one's
Orange
Good.
Dreamsicle.
that one's up there.
That one's
Very
pretty
good.
good
Rainbow
too.
Sherbet, not sherbet, but sherbet. Rainbow Sherbet's up there. The
Pretty
white
stupid.
gummy bear.
It tastes like
I'm
white gummy
not.
bear.
I'm not a big gummy bear.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Very hit or miss. But my all-time favorite energy drink is the strawberry or the pink Starburst C4.
Cotton candy bang.
I've actually never had a bang in my
Ooh, the
life.
cotton candy bang's good.
Never had a bang in my
Wait,
life.
Wild and
I th-
watermelon bang too. Pretty good.
the blue star. What's the blue C4 one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bombsicle.
Bombsicle.
Berry
C4,
Bombsicle.
C4 is so good.
I had one the other day actually.
I did a new C4 this week. It was right before the run test, I want to say. And it was like a C4 on steroid. It was 300 mils. Usually they're 200. And I was like, I need to try that. It was like white ice pop or something. And I'm like, oh, if this is anything like Bombsicle, this might be my new go-to when I want to, like, you know, have a little bit more juice in my body. It was not very good. You could taste the caffeine. It was one of those where it's like, ooh, I feel that. Like,
Dude,
could
I have
sense
a
it.
pre-workout right now. By Beyond Road Chemistry Labs. You ever heard of like Lit AF?
Yes.
They have one. It's called Concept X, bro. the scoop looks like it's like a cup, bro. It's got 5 grams of creatine in it, 300 milligrams of caffeine, literally every single focus agent I could think of. And I've been ripping that for working out before, and I'll tell you what, the weight's been moving.
There you go.
That's like I would use Bear Performance Nutrition, their Flight one, 300 milligrams of caffeine, a bunch of the other like focus ingredients, and I love it. The only thing is it's a little bit pricey. But, like,
Dude, you want to know
love it.
something I've been trying out? I don't know if you guys have ever messed with nootropics.
So I've heard. Actually, I did do a nootropic. I want to say it was last year. I'd take it before practice. It was like a focus caffeine combo. I think it was literally just called In Focus, and it was crazy because I'd have it and I'd feel that extra, like it could have also been a placebo if I'm being honest, because like I'm a very easy guy to convince influence. But like I'd go into something and be like, well, I fucking feel it. I feel like I'm
Dude,
dialed in.
got these they're called fully loaded pouches. They're like Zen pouches, but they don't got that no nicotine, and they have nootropics and they have a caffeine nootropic one. I got like a 10 of those, and I've been using them like for like reading, studying, and like, dude, I genuinely feel like, you ever be like studying and you're like, oh, I'm looking at my phone, or like it kind of eliminates the ADHD aspect. I can sit there and actually focus. It feels really good. And even I take it before, with workouts too. So I go take some caffeine, throw one of those in, and I'm just locked in. Next exercise. I'm not on my phone. Just locked in, dude. They're pretty crazy.
I might have to look into that. Where do you get them?
I get them online from fullyloaded.com.
Gotcha.
Plug, yo, give me a sponsorship.
You sponsor the podcast. We would love to have that.
That'd be sick.
Sponsor. They could sponsor us. Just say.
Any movement on a draft topic? What are we feeling?
Ooh, draft topic. Let me think.
This is always usually one of the hardest parts, is coming up with a original.
So we have to do 18, right?
No.
No. You have to just pick something that we haven't done in the previous 17 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So, like, honestly, you can just start shooting them out, and if we've done it, it'll be a little bit like, ooh, no, like, pew, shoot that down.
Yeah.
We've done movies, we've done fast food, we've done, like, a lot of the stereotypical
Lifts.
lifts. Oh,
Yes.
the draft of all-time lifts?
Yes.
I could get behind this.
You're
I
first
think.
off, so-
All right.
Yup.
So we're picking.
So let's
Different lifts. So, like, I'm not going to list different types, but, like, if you look at our packet for tomorrow, one of those could be on the list. You're not going to say, don't say.
But like, am I gonna go? Then you're gonna go. Then you're gonna go.
Well, we're going to
It's-
rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay,
go
okay,
we go
okay.
around and
But it's not a snake.
Gotcha.
It goes right back to you.
All right. So.
well, no,
You're
you
up.
have the number one pick. You're the guest.
Okay. I get number one pick. All
That's the
right.
advantage.
Number one pick.
What's the
My-
best lift?
My favorite best lift, one that produces testosterone, is a nice tax on the central nervous system. Right.
It's a great lead.
You can put on a lot of weight. Right. The squat.
I knew that was coming.
I
I
love
could have
the
called
squat.
that. I could have
bro.
called that with
The
no
squat.
reception in the desert.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm on a 2 podcast losing streak on this rock
Try
paper
to get your
scissors.
fist in the fray.
Ever since we've ever come back.
Yeah, get your fist in it, Fridgie.
Pause for a dramatic effect. Here we go. Ready? All right, there. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ha ha!
Damn.
Dang, the streak is broken.
No,
Well-
not yet. We do best out of 3.
So we do it like gentlemen.
Watch
Gotcha.
your mouth.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Mother. I don't want to say this word.
It's all on the scissors.
Oh yeah.
It's all scissors for me, and I'm kind of glad. Even though I don't think you would have taken this, but if you know me, this is my favorite exercise. I first got good in it in high school, and it was the one where, like, I wasn't the most fit person like my sophomore year, and then I kind of went through a transformation. But this was the one that I could be the best at because it's all form. It's all form, and it's all being tactile, and it's a good like compound movement where you're hitting a lot of
I
different
know
muscle
exactly
groups.
what it is.
I'm hitting the hang clean, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I want the hang clean.
Yes, sir.
That's all that coming.
When you max out on a clean, you catch it at the bottom in a squat, and you push it back up, there's no better feeling on the planet. When you're sitting down there, you catch that thing, and you're fighting it all the way back up. You stand it up, and you're in a full weight room of people just screaming your heads off. I say that, but O'Day's weight room is like the size of my living room right here. So it's an intimate setting. And I've had it where, like, I've literally just had upperclassmen on my right, underclassmen on my left, coach right behind me, just screaming in my face, and I get it up. I think it was like 195 at a time, so nothing like too crazy. But in high school, like, that was huge. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, a heavy hang clean with your boys are behind you, that's an awesome setting.
It's so
and there's
nice.
nothing, and there I gotta say, like, a dude hang clean in a lot of weight, there's nothing that screams like, damn, this guy's a beast.
I almost caught 225 this summer. So close. I can the craziest thing about, I should probably stop so we can get to the next one, but this is going to be my last thing on the clean. I was at a point one time where I could clean more than I squat. So I could catch 205 in a clean, and I couldn't get it up because it was above my 1 rep max for squat. That's how fucked up my body was.
This is a hang clean?
A hang clean.
That's pretty impressive.
I'm taking this strictly so it's off the board, and it's the most popular lift in all the world. Take a bench press.
That's the right pick there.
Yeah.
Especially for 3. I mean, that's kind of absurd. You guys took your favorite lifts. This is like the universal one.
It is. I think it's a little personal.
I would argue the squat over, but that's fine.
I don't think anyone
we'll agree to disagree.
I hate to boost up your pick, but I don't think if you walked into a weight room, you said, all right, clean slate, legs or arms, do you want to go bench or squat? What are you picking? I'd say 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to say bench. It's a shout out to Aiden.
See, for me, if I was clean slate, I'm feeling good, I walk into a weight room, they're like, you want to go hard today? I'm hitting the squat. I swear. And you're just a different breed. So is it back to me now?
Second pick.
So my second fit. So he says bench, right? I wouldn't even have picked bench for number 1 for my upper body. One of my number 1 for upper body is dips.
That's a really
dips.
That's
Weighted
a strong
dips,
one,
dude. I've always had a knack for them. I love doing them. I love just, there's nothing more masculine or alpha than just hanging weight from your nuts and then just doing some body weight exercises.
And you get a gnarly chest pump out of that. Tricep,
chest,
entire arm.
It's like the squat for the upper body.
Yeah. Ooh, I've never looked at it that way. Mm-hmm. You're spot on with that. That's a strong addition to the lifting, to your routine.
Yeah.
We're basically building a workout plan right now.
Yeah.
Where I want to go with this is I'm going to take when you're doing the bench, the way that I like to work things out is you have a chest exercise. You got to hit the back, because if you strengthen up your back and like pump it up, then you're actually going to boost up. From what I know, you'll boost up your benching numbers because you have like a stronger base back there. So I always love adding a nice single arm neon bench bent over row.
Single arm bent over row. With
the dumbbell. It's got to be with the dumbbell. You got the knee on the bench. You're kind of bracing yourself down, and you're getting that great contraction right in the, not the lat, but like not good with my muscles and anatomy, but whatever it is, you just get a great contraction there. You get to pump that up, and you pop down on the bench, and it's like, perfect chest back combo right there. So single arm neon bench row.
That's a good pick.
You got Mando.
Big fan of the bodyweight exercises. This one is something that not many people can do for many numbers. I'm gonna go pull-ups.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
I was about to take that next. That's a phenomenal exercise. I mean, you can add weight to it, and also, like, you're in a gym and you start cranking out pull-ups, people are gonna be looking, bro.
It's very alpha.
Especially
if you have good form.
Good form. I mean, it's more impressive than dips. I enjoy dips more, but yeah, the pull-up is legit. He's got 2 good picks, man. Bench and pull-up.
I will say, when it comes to the drafts, I lay out a good 5 every time.
And when I think of pull-ups, I just think about, like, that was an accomplishment in my fitness career when I could do my first pull-up. Because, like, first year of high school, like, I couldn't do a pull-up at all, and I was doing, like, the assisted ones. I think finally it was my junior year where I repped out, like, 3 in a row, and, like, never been more proud of myself. And then fucking last year in our strength test, repping out 15 of them, and I literally dropped down, and I was like, freshman year me would be so fucking proud.
Yeah.
Like, in college at a lift test, I just did 15 pull-ups in a row. Wow. Awesome addition to the team, Nick.
Thank you.
So, since he took pull-ups, right, I got to throw in a back exercise. And one of my favorite barbell back exercises, right, I think it's a staple, is the bent over barbell row.
Yep.
I mean, you can do it overhand or underhand, right? I don't think I have to specify there, right? You can do it overhand, underhand, so you get more target on the lat and bicep, or you can get more of that middle back range and lat, right? So, and you can throw on some weight, and what I always like to envision, right? I put like, I see like a fine girl in the gym, and I'll throw on like whatever I think she weighs, maybe 10, 20 pounds extra, and I sit down, I'll just crank it for 10 reps. And maybe I'll look at her and I'll be like, yeah.
Do your math.
You see that.
Do your math. You see what I can do.
No further comments on that. Next one that I want to go with, this is a Rubio Gym staple. If we are doing an upper body lift, we are ending with something that we like to call the arm farm. And the first exercise is always going to be easy bar curls.
Oh.
Simple, effective. You get a full range of motion. You can throw in a little like partials if you want to do. We do it's like 21s. So you do 7 half extensions from bottom to middle, 7 extensions from middle to top, and then 7 full reps. Fucking gets you pumped out of your mind.
Call them 7s.
It's 7s, 21, same thing.
Yeah,
I like.
7s.
Easy bar curl. Welcome to the squad.
So you took an easy bar curl. That's funny because I'm taking dumbbell curls. Simple.
Is there a specific variety?
Nah. I mean, basic.
Hammer curls, just normal.
I was gonna put down hammer curls, but I think normal bicep curls.
I think hammer curls
nice.
are the best
Easier.
dumbbell curl exercise in my opinion. I feel like I get the best contraction and the best pump when I do those.
I think they're a little bit easier.
I
do agree with you.
I can put up a little more weight on a hammer curl. I really like an easy bar, straight bar curl, honestly, if I was going to do them. But for my pick, so you guys are looking over a crucial body part and area, the shoulders. See, for my next pick, standing barbell overhead press.
Oh,
Can't go wrong with that. I feel like, I mean, it's a staple. You get good tricep activation. Again, put up some weight on it too. It's like you throw on a 45 on each side, and you look over that little bull that's been looking at you funny. You start throwing them over your head. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go with that.
I like that. And you get a little bit of like your core work too. If you're standing, like you have to control your body all the way through that moment. So good pick. I'm on this is pick number 4.
You're on pick number 4. Yes.
Okay, so I got my full body, got a back exercise, got a good bicep. Every good bicep day, need some tri work. I'm gonna go tricep push downs.
Nice.
Another one that we did in our lift on Friday.
Thursday.
We did a combo of banded curls and tricep push downs. And when you're able to get a full range of motion and start to actually, I never felt a tricep contraction until like I really started to focus on like my form with stuff. And when you finally get that and you're like repping them out and you feel it, you see that cap start to form, you're like, this is awesome.
You get that horseshoe. Oh
yeah. You get that high in the gym. It's the best.
Getting riled up just thinking about it.
I know. I think we should go work out after this.
We should go practice and work out.
Could do that.
We do have the gym here.
We do.
Oh, you have a gym here?
We do.
Yeah, we also have a pool, putting green.
What?
Yeah.
The Lax Lounge is pretty sick.
The Lax
Lounge is loungy.
It is loungy. For my number 4, I've always particularly loved this workout, the RDL.
Yeah, wow.
Whoa.
Underrated pick.
Dang.
Because that's another one that just feels so good when you go
fire.
through the full range of
Feels
motion.
so good.
Get that stretch.
Yeah,
got a sneaky squad.
this last
Dominating.
pick is going to be pretty difficult.
I got mine queued up.
I'm going to go.
This is tough because I have a lot of directions I could go that could like really throw someone off too.
I'm going to hit incline bench press.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Dumbbell bench press. I think that is my favorite chest exercise. I did more dumbbell pressing over the summer than I did like strict bench pressing.
Real fast. Yours was incline. Yours was dumbbell.
Mine, I do not have a bench press on mine.
No. I didn't know. I thought he said
Yeah, I'm
that
barbell.
His was barbell.
Barbell incline press.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, that's where I thought you were just taking dumbbell press.
I am not taking that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Ooh, what do you got?
I'm going to go with, this is going to be an unpopular thing. I'm taking a core exercise.
Okay.
Because I think, we have our arm farm, and like that was always like the dynamic of the Rubio gym, which for context, that's my buddy Aiden Rubio's house that we would always lift at through quarantine. We go back this summer. Greatest place on the planet.
If you're an avid listener, you know what the Rubio gym is.
You better. And it's like, that's really where I kind of like started to fall in love with the process of lifting. And I'm always the bad guy, or not the bad guy, but I'm the one who creates our core finishers. And a staple in one of my core finishers is going to be the good old Russian twist.
Ooh.
You can get a medicine ball. You can do it just body weight. If you do a Russian twist right, it's you get the obliques, you get the abs, but it's a great burn. It's the best burn.
And you can sit there and you can crank them out. I mean, it's not like I like doing toes to bar, but like I get like 10, and I'm like, all right, it's limited by grip. You can really sit there. You can get a heavy medicine ball. Progressive overload's really easy.
Yep.
It's a great exercise.
You can throw it into a killer combo. I put Jerry, Bull, and a bunch of guys through like a little core finisher that I came up with this summer, where you catch a medicine ball or like just any ball, do a Russian twist, go down, do a sit-up, and toss it to your partner, and you stay in a trunk lift. It fucking burns. You do 10 of them, like 2 sets of 10, burns you the fuck out.
See, and that's something that's great about it. You can get some partner activity in there.
Literally. Everything's better with a friend.
Yeah, I feel like core is one of the few things that you can do partner activities with. It's like
it's
a lot of things you can do partner
in terms of lifting.
Core, yes.
Yeah, in core. Yeah.
We always use it as like a bonding moment because it's like we're suffering together. Let's get through it. Last set, best set. Nicholas, last pick, best pick?
Yeah, this is, I thought bench press was pretty universal. I think this one's even more universal. I remember in first grade I got tested on this. Push-ups.
You got like the classic.
The classic.
Like if you're looking up like a good workout plan, you're gonna see everyone
probably got push-ups on it. Yeah.
Push-ups. It's probably got bench. Probably
I'm not gonna lie.
RDLs.
I may have picked my favorite list rather than the universal great ones. He's got a pretty good.
I picked drafts to win the drafts.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. Like
It's
I picked
true.
a lot of things that I enjoy.
Yeah, I really same here.
He loves
I gotta
Greek
say,
yogurt.
I think
I love garlic.
That was our first draft ever. Was foods that begin with the letter G.
And in similar fashion, I went for things that I thought were in vastness of foods with the letter G, and that like gave me the best shot.
Mhm.
Friggy loves Greek yogurt,
Fucking love it. It's the best protein source.
and I will
very
say
solid protein
it's a
source.
solid first pick. And
I wouldn't know
not
about
many
the
things start with
best.
G.
Gorilla food is the best.
That's one thing.
Starts with the letter G.
Gorilla food.
That is one thing.
For those who are listening, I am an avid eater of gorilla food.
I was going to add that.
Missouri
into the
food
fifth
products.
The fifth question I was going to ask was going to be human food or gorilla food, and I over trumped it with I forget what the
Pet peeve.
Pet peeve, yeah. Anyways, I thought we had some good drafts.
That's
do
great.
you remember yours?
My drafts.
We forgot
do
to
you
tell you
remember
right
your
now.
five?
So I went squat, then I went dip, then I went barbell row, overhead press, incline bench press.
That was impressive. That is
was
the
so
fastest
impressive.
someone has read that off without writing it down. We've started writing them down because we would always forget.
The gorilla food and the
The
nootropics
nootropics.
help
They're working.
your memory.
So my squad, my great workout, we're going to start with hang cleans. We're going to do some neon bench single arm rows, a little easy bar curl, into tricep extensions. We're going to finish with Russian twist. I have a perfect like
workout.
A, B, C, maybe even a D series in there. Like this is a full, just good upper body day. I'd probably do this workout.
Yeah.
End of thought.
Period. There.
Period.
Yeah. So for mine, I got bench press, pull ups, dumbbell curls, RDLs, and push ups.
That's another fucking great.
That's a pretty good
It's a
one.
great team. Honorable mention, real quick. You got it. Nobody likes doing them. You gotta respect Bulgarian split squats.
And the plank.
The deadlift. I almost picked
I
the
was gonna say
deadlift.
I was thinking about deadlift. I was
It's
thinking about it,
just-
but I've never
I-
done it. I haven't done a deadlift in like 3 years.
I deadlifted it a little bit this summer, and I was just worried about hurting my back.
Yeah.
It's like, I was doing a lot of power cleans, and I feel like it's very similar. So
It's a very explosive
but the deadlift is a classic. I mean, it's just picking something up
Putting it back down.
and putting it down.
I pick things up. I put them down.
I love that. That somebody commented that on my B-reel this summer when I was at the gym, and they're like, "You pick that weight up and put it down as aggressively as you can." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am," or "Yes, sir," or whatever it was.
And I remember we were choosing our spirit animals, and they're like, "Why do you want to be grilled?" And I was like, "I eat grill food, and I pick shit up."
I think that on that note, Seb is a gorilla.
and he is probably the best interviewee that I've ever been able to
hell of a
share.
story.
Ah, you're too nice.
I try, but we just talked for 2.5 hours.
That's crazy.
Knows how to speak into a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
No adjustment at all. We went straight to fucking business.
Just balls to the walls, baby.
If anybody listened to this entire conversation, one, congratulations, because your day probably is 20 times better. Than
And
it
you
was
have a
before.
lot of knowledge that you've gained.
A lot of knowledge.
You know who Sebastian Tobias is now.
And we got to learn so much about our teammate. And I think that is the coolest part about this exercise.
That's the greatest part.
Definitely is the coolest part. Always is.
Any final words, shout outs, anything you got to say to the Lax Lounge enthusiasts?
All right, for a couple shout outs. I'd like to shout out the fam, my dad, Jeff Tobias, sister Tabitha Tobias. Tabitha is a very accomplished equestrian, right?
Ooh.
Looking to go down south here, hopefully. Shout out to my lovely, darling Miss Janet. That's my grandma right there. Love that woman, right? And final remarks, I'd say, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. It was a little short notice, but honestly, I love it. You just got to roll with it. I'm excited for this season. We got everyone not believing in us, but you want to know who did believe in us?
There are 27 guys in our locker room.
And God did.
God's got us.
God did believe in us.
God's got us.
Yeah, and to those listening, just be grateful of everything you got in life. Roll with the punches. Anything that's hard coming at you, take it as a lesson. Take it as growth. And just hopefully you can just find what you love doing, because damn, I sure found it. Playing here for the fucking Cavaliers, baby.
Roll.
Turn up.
Fucking
Roll Cavs.
We end the episode the same way every single time. We shout out one person and one person only. Well, other people, but we shout out this guy.
Our favorite artist of all time.
Shout out Jules.
Shout out Jules.
Shout out Jules, baby.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day. See you next time.
Yeah, I'll be stargazing. I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' cap, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to act. You just be singing, don't know how to rap. I really be running this shit like I'm Owen. She like a wave, I'm loving her motion. It's like I'm sipping straight up on the potion. Water be dripping and feel like the ocean. I know that I'm different cause I'm from the other side. She's saying that she want me, girl, that's capping, girl, you lie. Everything I ever did, all I do is right. You could never say it, cause you switched up and you lie. Yeah. Had to switch up and you lie. Yeah, I'll be stargazing. I'll be up in the clouds, but I won't come down cause I'll be too faded. Everybody wanna walk that talk, wanna talk that talk like we made it. But they all gon' cap, swear to God I'll make the money right back. Bitches be trippin', don't know how to act.